And we also have some cooler fall-like weather to talk about as you make your plans for tomorrow.
That includes you guys in Detroit. And guess what we've got coming up?
What?
The premiere of Weather Underground.
Weather Underground.
Starting
Stay with us.
now.
Well, it could be sunny, and it could be rain. It's a crazy feeling going through my brain. Big storm clouds coming, I feel it in your bones. No matter what you say, you know you're not alone. Gonna head on down to the underground. Gonna head on down to the underground.
Wow, no place like the Galapagos. That is just simply fascinating. Hey there! How are you? Good to see you. Everyone's here. Thrills and Deals. The Master is here. Even Norcross in the house tonight. Hi, everyone. Welcome into Weather Underground. We are glad to have you with us. So much to talk about, but it was 20 years ago that the counterculture website Weather Underground became the internet's first weather provider. It pioneered the digital age of weather, all with the help of dedicated meteorologists and a giant community of weather enthusiasts like you. This show is a first of its kind and designed with you in mind. It's for you, about you, and with you. And every weekday at this time, Weather Underground will commandeer the Weather Channel. We couldn't be more excited to get our hands dirty in weather right here from our little weather hideaway, and we are glad you are along for the ride. So let's get right to it and show you what's on tap tonight. Another round, Blue Hawaii, the hurricane, and our weather wild card where you get to choose what we talk about in our second hour. We'll have more on that in just a minute, but first, another round for the Atlantic. Danny may be dying out, but there's another system hot on its heels. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about what could become Erica. Plus, it may not look like paradise. It's been a blue Hawaii with the record-setting rain. Our experts show you why there's more where that came from. And it's the hurricane that all others will be measured by, Katrina, where the massive storm was this day 10 years ago and the impacts it brought to Florida before the ultimate devastation along the Gulf. First, though, I want to introduce you to the brains behind the bar. That is Miss Sarah Dillingham.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I can't wait to see what's in store over the next 2 hours. It's going to be fantastic. Right. Danny, by the way, gone but not forgotten.
Oh, Danny boy. You know, I've been singing that over and over in my head the last couple of days. It just couldn't overcome that cheer, I'm afraid.
No, it couldn't.
No.
But doesn't mean it won't be impactful.
No, and we're hoping that actually has some beneficial impacts, especially when it comes to Puerto Rico and your drought. You've been in exceptional drought for a couple of weeks, well, at least several months now, so we're going to be talking to one of our personal weather station users coming up. Take a look at these right now. We've got a lot of personal weather station users, and you almost have to zoom in very, very tight just to see those tiny little rain bins. Yes, that's the remnants of Danny. What's left of it, not very much to speak of, but take a look out there. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s right now, and hopefully some beneficial rain over to Puerto Rico. We're going to talk to one of those personal weather station users here in just one moment, but right now, you guys have got the down low on what's left of Danny and maybe something else that's right on his heels.
Yeah, not much with Danny to talk about at this point, but senior hurricane specialist Brian Norcross is with us. You can still very clearly pick it out on the satellite, but it doesn't have a lot of punch left to it.
There isn't much with it. In fact, here's the next one in line, and look at the two of them. You can see this is a little eensy-tiny thing here.
Yeah, it is,
look what
right?
I did. And then, but over here, this is a big, massive system, relatively speaking, and this is going to be the next one. But let's kind of get Danny out of the way first here.
This at least is bringing us the most immediate impacts closest to land.
Right, and the fact is here that this is not actually going to do a whole lot. It's not going to do as much as we want it to do, but this is going to come right behind it, and I think that this is going to actually really help the situation. And here you can see what's going on between the two of them. Look at this. There's Danny.
Huge shear there.
Huge shear over top of it, so that just ripped it apart, and it was so little that it could get ripped apart, right?
Invest 98L, is it any more favorable atmosphere there?
A little bit, because you can see it's right between these two bands of shear. So right now it's generally kind of favorable there, but there's so much dry air being pulled into it, you can kind of see it to the north there. But look on Danny, what's going to happen next here with the rain. You see it's mostly dried out, but there's a little core there.
So you have to be really close to the center of circulation to see any rain.
Or in one of these rain bands.
That's it.
So we're getting some, but there's not going to be a lot of impact here over the islands where they desperately need it. These folks need it too, and they're getting some, but it's really going to kind of move south of the islands and a little fringe effect there. And this is where we really really need to get it, but I think it's going to have to wait for the next one before the rain really comes for eastern Puerto Rico.
25% of Puerto Rico is in extreme drought, and 3 months ago it was 0.
Right.
So it's been a very hot, dry summer for us in Puerto Rico. Tropical system is exactly what we need to break that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Danny's not going to be it, but the next one may very well be on the current track.
All right, well, let's talk about what could be happening right now in the island. Sarah, you've got a personal weather station user that could be in the path of what's left of Danny, at least.
Yeah, in fact, he's probably getting some of those outer rain bands right now, and I know that they really need the rain, not only in Puerto Rico, but they also need that in the Virgin Islands. So as the storm system approaches the islands, we're definitely keeping an eye on it. Weather Underground has more than 100,000 personal weather stations from more than 174 different countries. But right now, we're going to talk to one of those personal weather station users. His name is Hector Centrone out of St. Thomas. So, Hector, I got to ask you, what are the conditions out there right now? Are you getting some heavy rain today?
Actually, today has been pretty much sunny all day. If we didn't know that something was coming, we wouldn't have known. We did get some rain yesterday. We had two nice downpours yesterday, but as far as today, I don't know if you can see in the background, we're starting to get some light rains right now, but actually it's been pretty much sunny all day.
Yeah, I definitely can see that rain behind you. You know, when we get these tropical systems come through, you definitely can have that. It's clear 1 minute and then pouring down rain the very next. So, I mean, I know that you really do need that welcome rainfall. You know, you guys have been at least a 20-plus inch deficit over the last several months. So, Hector, we're really going to keep our fingers crossed for you that you guys get some good rainfall out there.
Yeah, we definitely need it.
All right, thank you so much. So, yeah, one of our personal weather station users out there, his experience. So we're probably going to be talking to him a little bit more as we go into the season, because we're probably going to have another storm to talk about, maybe even on 98L over there. Maybe that may be the next thing in the...
You know, will that become Erica? I think that's...
It might.
You know, looking at that thing on radar, guys, Dr. Jeff Masters joining us here at the bar. Your thoughts on that, and what could it come in behind Danny?
You know, sometimes the hardest thing to forecast is when the National Hurricane Center will go and name something. Right. Brian and I think it could already be named Tropical Storm Erica, maybe if we were working a shift today, but it's very close.
The thing is, we don't have any evidence. It may very well be a tropical storm, but until the aircraft goes out there tomorrow, or we happen to get a satellite pass with a scatterometer where you can see the circulation, because the pass that happened this morning, there was not a circulation yet.
What do you think happens first, the data from the plane or the satellite?
You know,
if you were a betting man.
If there's a way to predict those scatterometer passes, you know, I don't know what it is. It really seems like you know about it when it happens.
It's probably going to get its act together enough tonight to be named, I think.
Yeah, but
you think by the 11 o'clock advisory?
11 o'clock, that's our next one, our next chance.
Just 5 hours to go, and we'll see. Guys, thank you very much. We're going to continue this conversation, by the way. We're going to talk a lot more about our topics. One of our favorites, by the way, models. Did they get it right? The differences between the European and the U.S. models when it comes to tropical systems, how one variable can make a difference when predicting a landfalling hurricane. And it's time for you to make your voice heard. It is our weather wild card. You've got about 20 minutes left to vote on the topic you want us to cover tonight. Flirting with fall, the weather whiplash coming to begin here in September. Also, heat for the record books. How much longer will the West sizzle? Or where there's smoke, the number of wildfires that continue to burn, how it's impacting the air quality. You can vote using Twitter, Facebook, or Google+, and the hashtag WUTV. We'll be right back on Weather Underground. 11?
That's my...
I think so, too.
I don't know, it's pretty hard.
It always happens, yeah.
Without a scatterometer, because
What's this? A box. It takes worn out things and makes them better.
It's our biggest breakthrough yet. We're taking worn out batteries and making them into something strong. Energizer Eco Advanced, world's first long-lasting battery made with 4% recycled batteries.
Who needs a witness when you set the world in motion? The Ram ProMaster van. And introducing the all-new Ram ProMaster City. Purpose-built to help you run the town. Ram.
Andrew. Rita. Sandy. Meet Chris. Jackie. Joe. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
Dave's been working on his game and starting each day with a delicious bowl of heart-healthy Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
How's your cereal?
Sweet. Tastes like winning.
How would you know what winning tastes like?
Invest in your heart health with Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
No crying today.
Did you know only 1% of supplements have earned the USP mark? An independent certification for quality and purity. I recommend Nature Made because they've earned the most of any brand.
Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended fish oil brand.
When a moment spontaneously turns romantic, why pause to take a pill? And why stop what you're doing to find a bathroom? With Cialis for daily use, you don't have to plan around either. It's the only daily tablet approved to treat erectile dysfunction, so you can be ready anytime the moment is right. Plus, Cialis treats the frustrating urinary symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently, day or night. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Why pause the moment? Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use. For a free 30-tablet trial, go to Cialis.com.
Let's move now. Why was she dropped into Times Square? And why was my name tattooed on her back? She can't remember who she is. Nothing.
We think she might have been a SEAL.
That'd explain a few things.
Blind Spot premieres Monday, September 21st on NBC.
Wednesday on AMHQ, tropical activity in the Atlantic heating up as Danny weekends. Now, we have our eyes on 2 other areas of interest in the Atlantic. Wednesday on AMHQ.
And welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground, taking a live look at Anguilla right now. Sun is getting closer to set there, but you can see the ocean is relatively calm right now. Danny coming by without any fanfare whatsoever, and there's really nothing left of Danny at this point. Our Weather Underground station there reporting 84 degrees right now. Barely any wind at all. It's actually probably a fairly decent day for you to be down there on the beach. Light showers could be affecting you for the remainder of the evening. About a 40% chance of rain and winds out of the east, by the way. It just caught maybe a little breezy, about 20 miles per hour. But what comes behind what's left of Danny? Could it be the possibility of Erica? Well, we've got a invest out there, 98L. Winds right now would qualify it for a tropical storm, but we don't really have that closed off low yet. Will that happen? Looks like the odds are in our favor that it will, and this may become Erica before too long. Well, often you hear us reference computer models in the forecast they produce, especially during hurricane season. Tonight we focus on 2 of those, the European model, the American model. Back with us, Brian Norcross, Jeff Masters, Sarah here as always. When you look at, let me start with you, Brian. When you look at Danny and what the models did with it, intensity and track, it actually, the models did a fairly decent job. Both the Euro and the American, both at this point, were fizzling it, and that's what's happened.
And generally, in the history of it, generally, that's what they did. You have 2 different kinds of models, really, you look at. One of the global models that forecast the weather all around the Earth, and they've gotten so good that we really concentrate on them. Then there are these hurricane-centric models that we put a lot of energy and money into. The HWRF, it's called, the Hurricane WRF, that the NOAA runs, and that keeps wanting to make it strong, right? This year, and it did the same thing with Danny, and it didn't happen, and it wants to do the same thing with this next system. And we'll see. The global models are wanting to keep it weak. That's wanting to make it strong. And we're called the statistical models that kind of go on average and some other input as well. It wants to make it relatively strong, the new one, this Erica as well. So it's the models are very similar in distribution to what we have with Danny.
Now, we do have another global model run by the UK, UK Met, and it's following the HWRF model. It's trying to make Erica/98L strong and following, you know, a path more to the north. So we'll have to see if that global model beats the GFS and the European model in this case.
Yeah, and we were talking about all these models and stuff, and we were looking earlier and trying to track like which model did it best last year. We were seeing like what the average errors were, and it's like when we were looking at the kind of medium range, GFS was pretty good. Get into the long range, obviously the European is doing a better job, and then we also bring in the HWRF, I believe. Yeah, so in the longer period, it also does a very good job, and that white line is the National Hurricane Center track, and the consensus model is doing just as good as well. So we have a number of different models, but they also take into account different factors. Some are more upper level driven models, have better upper level dynamics within the models, and some not so much. So
is it a matter of the data we're putting into it? Is the data we're putting into it good enough yet?
Well, there are a couple of points there.
Yeah.
One is the input, then another is how that input is processed, which the Europeans do better than anybody. But the third thing is that the models have all changed since last year. So just because one did well last year doesn't mean that one will do this year. They've all been updated and in theory made better. But until they're proved with real storms, we don't know.
So does anything give you, one doesn't give you more confidence than the other?
No, particularly since last year we didn't have very many cases to look at. It was a quiet season, so these numbers may not mean much.
Well, we'll see. The science has got to get better at some point, right?
We have drones now, that's a possibility.
I like the idea of the Global Hawk drones giving us more and more data into these models, so we'll see if the money is there to do that. Hey, hurricane hunters, they are scheduled to fly tomorrow, and when we come back, Brian and I are going to head up to the lab. We're going to show you how these high-flying labs are so specialized, what they can do, and the secret weather weapon on board known as the Smurf. We're going to break it down for you when we come back. You're watching Weather Underground on the Weather Channel.
Smurf model, Well, we're channeling Smurfs. We're in blue.
I remember when that first came out, when they first started talking about
This summer, we've helped a lot of people get into the Honda they'd been searching for.
Nice wheels. Right back at you.
Aw, you guys. There's not much time left. The Honda Summer Clearance event ends soon. There's never been a better time to get into the new Honda you've had your eye on. Everyone happy?
Yay! It's your last chance to find a great deal at the Honda Summer Clearance event.
So, you say men are superior drivers?
Yeah.
Then how do I get this?
Safe driving bonus check. Every 6 months without an accident, Allstate sends a check. Silence. Are you in good hands?
While others pre-form and pre-cook, Boston Market promises to make food good. Like our Parmesan Tuscan rotisserie chicken, made with Italian spices. Back for a limited time. Boston Market, all good.
To truly feel healthy on the outside, you have to feel healthy at your core. True Biotics, a probiotic from One A Day, naturally helps support both your digestive and immune health by combining 2 types of good bacteria. True Biotics, be true to your health.
You can't put 2 in 1.
At Intel, they make technology that lets a device be a laptop and a tablet. So you can put 2 in 1.
No, you can't.
Can.
Can't.
Can.
Upgrade to a 2-in-1 with Intel.
When it comes to food, pets know what they want, and so do we. That's why you'll find simple, natural ingredients like real meat and wholesome veggies in delicious Rachael Ray Nutrish recipes, with no fillers or byproducts. And Rachel's personal proceeds from Nutrish help shelter pets everywhere.
Guys, I said I'd be back.
Give your pets the food they would make for themselves, if they could. Rachael Ray Nutrish. Real recipes, real ingredients, real good.
Tomorrow on AMHQ.
You're about to see something you have never seen on television before.
I want to make sure everybody can get an idea of what's happening here.
Let's talk about that.
Let's lift the base of this and talk a little bit about tornadoes.
That's pretty impressive. Let me show you why.
We'll tell you about it coming up.
Hey, I'm Ty Pennington. You know, buying a home is exciting. Getting a home loan, not so much. What do you hate about getting a mortgage?
The paperwork. I had to fax a stack. It was like this big.
I don't even own a fax machine.
There has to be a better way to get a loan. Well, now there is. Guaranteed Rate has just introduced the world's first digital mortgage. With Guaranteed Rate's digital mortgage, you can get a free rate quote, see your credit score, and print a letter of pre-approval to go shop for your new home. all at no cost to you. And you can do it all online, anytime, anywhere.
Guaranteed Rates technology made the process so simple, and the people were there to provide guidance the whole time.
With the great rate I got from Guaranteed Rate, I was able to save thousands of dollars a year.
Guaranteed Rate gives you a low mortgage rate, amazing customer service, and a fast new digital mortgage. Start saving time and money right now.
Call 888-605-2525 or visit grloans.com.
Katrina 2065, Thursday night at 8 on the Weather Channel. Brought to you by Citgo. Learn about Citgo Coastal Restoration at CitgoCaringForOurCoast.com.
Stay tuned for your local on the 8s brought to you by Citgo. Learn about Citgo Coastal Restoration at CitgoCaringForOurCoast.com.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 62. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain 60%. Tuesday, mainly sunny, high 81. Winds west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 55. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground, taking a live look at St. Croix right now. We were hoping to bring you a little bit more rain. Probably not in the cards for you. Danny is more or less fizzled out. Might have some breezy conditions, but you can see the water is pretty calm right now. So maybe if you're hoping for some rain, we'll look for the next thing behind it. Taking a look at the tropics at present, even though Danny has fizzled some, it doesn't mean that the tropics in both the Pacific and the Atlantic aren't very active right now. Take a look. We have a Typhoon Goni. We have Tropical Storm Asani right now. Goni, by the way, very impactful in Japan. We're going to break that down with Dr. Greg Postel coming up. Then we flip it over to the Central Pacific. A lot going on here as well with Loka and Kilo, as well as Invest 95E and then 96E as well. So the Pacific is loaded right now with tropical activity, and the Atlantic heating up as well. Danny now gone, but we have 98L. There's our next Invest, and this one looks pretty darn healthy, and it looks like the waves are lining up off the African coast. So let's break down what's going to happen potentially with Invest 98L. The hurricane hunters are scheduled to fly out there tomorrow. Brian Norcross is with us to kind of break down the hurricane hunters. 3 specialized planes, each do a different thing.
Yeah, so the basic plane for research is this P3 here. And there are 2 P3s, Miss Piggy and Kermit.
I love the nicknames.
The names are great, right? And this, this is a 1960s era airplane, although they've been retrofitted and they actually need some more. But
tried and true. I mean, they
tried
work,
and true. They're built like battleships.
These can fly low level, and so do the hurricane hunters, the Air Force Base hurricane hunters.
The C-130. So this is the C-130. This is kind of a military airplane used all over the world, one of the most popular transports in the world, and they fly those things. They're big airplanes. This is like a big airliner.
They're heavy duty, and these are prop planes. They fly in some very heavy rain, but then you've got the jet that flies high altitude.
40,000 feet up, and what they do is they drop down these dropsons to measure the atmosphere around the storm. Rarely do they fly over the storm, just on occasion.
So they're not necessarily looking so much for the specifics of the storm, but the atmosphere around them for research in essence.
The steering. What they want, what the jet wants to find is the steering currents around the storm. They put that into the models and make better forecasts.
All right, so the P3, the Gulfstream, and the C-130 are the 3 hurricane hunters. A great device that they've now, listen, these planes measure countless weather aspects, but the really cool thing that a lot of these planes have, and in fact all of them now have it, is what's known as the SFMR, the SMRF, if you will, the Stepped Frequency Microwave Radiometer. It's a mouthful, but it is a really innovative device.
It really is. Dr. Mike Black at the Hurricane Research Division in Miami, when I first heard about this research that he was doing down there, I thought, what? What are they talking about, right? But what's happening here is that this device that hangs on the wing just looks on it. It's not a radar. It's not like the things we put in space or things from the coast. It looks down at the natural radiation that comes off the ocean because of the radiation coming in from the sun, and it reflects off the ocean, essentially. And the frequency of it and the nature of it changes based on the foam on the ocean.
It's amazing. We are literally looking at foam and the bubbles there, and the radiation that comes off of that back to the radiometer.
Right, and it's this amazing device. What they've done is they've calibrated it, and they look down and they measured down on the ocean. Oh, that's 80-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, let's see what the reflection sort of from the foam looks like, and calibrate that to 80 miles an hour. Okay, and then it took them for some years of research to get this calibrated, and now they use it on every flight.
They're not just like throwing an anemometer out there. They're measuring sea foam to figure out the specifics of wind. Brian, it's fascinating stuff, and hopefully you learned something here. Hey, why don't you stick around? Coming up, we're going to shift our focus to the Pacific, specifically Hawaii. After a few close calls already this season, we examine whether the state is now prepared for a tropical storm or a hurricane. And don't forget, by the way, you have a few minutes left to vote for our weather wild card and what we'll discuss coming up in our next hour. Is it flirting with fall, the weather whiplash coming to begin in September, and heat for the record books? How much longer will the West sizzle, or where there's smoke? The number of wildfires that continue to burn, how it's impacting the air quality. Vote on Twitter, Facebook, or Google+. Weather Underground, be right back.
Make sure everything's finished.
Yes to Wreck-It Ball. No to high fructose corn syrup. We're always pushing Capri Sun to be better, so let him push play.
You know the love you feel for Olive Garden's fresh-baked breadsticks? Well, multiply that by 1,000,000. They're here. New breadstick sandwiches starting at just $6.99, only at Olive Garden.
Break the ice with breath-freshening, cooling crystals. Icebreakers. If you have type 2 diabetes, you may know what it's like to deal with high and low blood sugar. Januvia sitagliptin is a once-daily pill that, along with diet and exercise, helps lower blood sugar. Januvia works when your blood sugar is high and works less when your blood sugar is low, because it works by enhancing your body's own ability to lower blood sugar. Plus, Januvia by itself is not likely to cause weight gain or low blood sugar, hypoglycemia. Januvia should not be used in patients with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Tell your doctor if you have a history of pancreatitis. Serious side effects can happen, including pancreatitis, which may be severe and lead to death. Stop taking Januvia and call your doctor right away if you have severe pain in your stomach area, which may be pancreatitis. Tell your doctor right away and stop taking Januvia if you have an allergic reaction that causes swelling of the face, lips, tongue, or throat, or affects your breathing or causes rash or hives. Kidney problems sometimes requiring dialysis have been reported. Using Januvia and a sulfonylurea or insulin together may cause low blood sugar. To reduce the risk, your doctor may prescribe a lower dose of the sulfonylurea or insulin. Your doctor may perform blood tests before and during treatment to check your kidneys. If you have kidney problems, a lower dose may be prescribed. Side effects may include upper respiratory tract infection, stuffy or runny nose and sore throat, and headache. For help lowering your blood sugar, talk to your doctor about Januvia today.
A little prep goes a long way with Scotch Blue Painter's Tape. The one with 3M adhesive technology for less paint bleed through and amazing results so you can forget about the redo. Pull off a better paint job with Scotch Blue Painter's Tape.
Buying new windows is a big decision, but it doesn't have to be a hard one. Ask your neighbors if they'd recommend Champion Windows. Better yet, ask 30,000 of them. An independent firm did, and more than 9 out of 10 said they love Champion Windows. And our salespeople, installation crews, and our price. Right now, get a free window for every 3 you buy, or no interest for 36 months. Call 844-4CHAMPION today. And hurry, offer ends soon. The decision is easy. Every home needs a champion.
Hey, you working for Nature Made too? Yup. Go team!
You've heard about friendly probiotics, but why take one that only targets half your digestive tract? New Nature Made Advanced has dual strains that target your whole tract. Part of the new line of probiotics from Nature Made.
It's a golden opportunity to turn every ride into a thrill ride at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Lease the 2015 RC350 for $449 a month for 36 months, and we'll make your first month's payment. See your Lexus dealer.
130 yards now.
Bill's got a very tough lie here.
Looks like we have some sort of sea monster in the water hazard here.
I believe that's a kraken, Bruce.
It looks like he's going to go with the 9-iron. That may not be enough club.
Well, he's definitely going to lose a stroke on this hole.
If you're a golf commentator, you whisper. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
This golf course is electric.
Let's move now.
Why was she dropped into Times Square? And why was my name tattooed on her back?
She can't remember who she is.
Nothing.
We think she might have been a SEAL.
That'd explain a few things.
Blind Spot premieres Monday, September 21st on NBC.
Wednesday on AMHQ, tropical activity in the Atlantic heating up as Danny weekends. Now, we have our eyes on 2 other areas of interest in the Atlantic. Wednesday on AMHQ.
Welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground. Glad you could be with us. A full house for us tonight. I'm Mike Bettis, and this week is Hurricane Week on the Weather Channel. And throughout the week, we'll take a look back at Hurricane Katrina, which blasted the Gulf Coast 10 years ago. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to dive deep into that storm's track and why 10 years ago today was so significant in Katrina's history. First, though, let's get to tonight's second big story, our activity in the Pacific. Joining us is Dr. Greg Postel. You look at the Central Pacific. Hot spot this year.
Yeah, you know, they've had 5 named storms out there, and that's a record. The previous record was 4 for the entire season back in 1982. So we're already ahead of record pace, and who knows how much longer it's going to go. It looks like it's going to still remain pretty active out that way.
Not a basin that we're always really focused on, but another one, really the most active basin in the world, the Western Pacific, which has gone nuts this year.
Yeah, the West Pacific is on fire as well. They seem to produce Cat 5s galore. This one, Typhoon Koni, 125, looks like it's weakening pretty quickly now over the southern islands of Japan. But I want to talk about yesterday morning with this particular typhoon because
Whoa.
Mike, are you kidding me? A $159, Ishigakajima, the island, 159 mile-per-hour wind gusts there. I can't imagine very many people on this planet have ever been in that kind of a wind.
In a wind tunnel. I think I did like 145, but this is crazy. I look at this is so impressive. You know, looking at this eye, the eye wall structure, it's fascinating.
Yeah, this is a highly energetic machine there. You got the perfect eye, and this moved northward over the ocean and remained at high intensity, now thankfully beginning to weaken. So that's good news. So that was yesterday morning, but now we're starting to see it weaken, interact with the land, and move over the Sea of Japan. It's probably going to weaken as it interacts, of course, with North Korea, maybe even southern Russia as well. So then we can say goodbye, I think, to Typhoon Koni.
But we'll watch because the season there is far from over. Going back now to the Central Pacific, there are quite a few things on this map, and maybe the one that we focused on a lot that hasn't done much is Kilo.
Yeah, kind of defied expectations in a way. You're exactly right. This is Tropical Depression Kilo. Remember several days ago we were talking about this thing maybe becoming a big-time hurricane on an approach toward the Hawaiian Islands. Now it's about 1,000 miles away and continuing on a westward track. And looking at the satellite pictures, I see a lot of convection that's essentially collapsing. So it's found a hostile environment to be in, and it is going to continue on those tracks. Now, this is a spaghetti match.
It's kind of all over the place, right? There's no chance, though, this makes a sharp right-hand turn and comes back toward the islands.
Maybe go this way, who knows? Maybe go some other way. But the idea
that is kind of wild when you look at that. That's a mess.
Yeah, and so really now Hawaii is out of play, and that's really good news. And if you want to average out all the models, this is kind of the ensemble mean it's called, which good enough in this case basically continues on that track. So they dodged a bullet, and they have not seen very many tropical cyclones in the last 50 years. So this is good news for them.
We've only had 3 landfalling systems here, 2 hurricanes. Nothing's ever hit Oahu before.
That's exactly right.
It's just kind of nuts. Let's bring in the gang here and talk about Hawaii because, I mean, you look at the active season that we've had. I look at something like Kilo. You were talking about it, though. Steering current was everything on this.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the reasons why it kept on going on its westward ways because it never got very strong. It was sort of steered by the lower tropospheric flow. So generally in a couple thousand feet and above, the trade winds essentially were sort of pushing this thing along. And you can show back on the map, Sarah, that that's kind of what the steering currents looked like. And if it had gotten stronger, if the convection got bigger, the cylindrical, the rotating tower would have been able to be affected by those higher altitude winds, and maybe it would have curved northward, but thankfully it kept on going the way it did.
Dr. Jeff Masters here, co-founder of Weather Underground. We were talking about sea surface temperatures. They're very favorable for formation or even strengthening of something. What's going on here?
Yeah, Hawaii has never seen ocean temperatures this warm. I mean, about 3 degrees Fahrenheit above what they should be for this time of year. I mean, that's just nuts, and that's why we're seeing so many systems threatening Hawaii. We've got 2 more potentially coming their way in the next week or so.
All right, this is cool. I want to bring up another reason why. Despite the fact that the water temperatures are so warm, they should be able to support significant development. But if you go to the wind shear aloft right here, we have actually really strong winds coming out of the northwest here, and that little bob of clouds, I got to show you this little cloud feature right in here, that's Typhoon Loka, formerly Typhoon Tropical Storm now, but it's probably inflating this ridge a little bit more and bringing some northwesterly shear over this entire area, which probably prevented it all along the way, I think, from getting really strong. So the shear kind of kept it at bay, and then it was eventually steered by the lower tropospheric flow.
And like we were talking about the sea surface temperatures, well, I mean, there they are. You know, we were talking earlier about, you know, Iniki and these southern track storms, you know, they're better equipped to make it there because the sea surface temperatures are typically warm enough to support tropical development that far north. But even if we had something come into the east and the Big Island now, they're into the lower 80s, so the water temperatures wouldn't be the issue now.
It may just be a matter of time before something happens to Hawaii again. But I look at a place like Oahu. High impact potential there. You look at Waikiki Beach. The hotels sit right on the water, densely populated. People that live up in the canyons, up on the hillsides, that could be a disaster in the making.
Yeah, particularly if you get heavy rainfall. Because of those steep hillsides interrupting the moisture from these tropical systems, they can get some very heavy downpours. They've had problems in the past with devastating landslides for some of these tropical systems.
You know, Sarah, you guys made a really good point about this. Look at those SSTs, though. It's 82 degrees right there east of Hawaii. So an incoming tropical cyclone or an incipient vortex coming in has a shot, at least in terms of the thermodynamic profiles, to probably at least grow, maybe even grow into a tropical cyclone as they come in that direction. So we'll see that traditional sort of westward movement coming in from the east there is not protected this year because of those warm waters.
Well, last year we had a landfalling tropical storm in the Big Island of Hawaii. Never happened before. 60-mile-per-hour winds.
It only takes one. There's always a first time. Right? So we've been fortunate to this point. I mean, in Iniki, people would make the argument we weren't fortunate there, but that was a long time ago now. That's out of people's memory now.
Right, yeah. I mean, that was 92 as well, and that was the last time I really think that that's probably, they've been impacted by a significant tropical cyclone.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Guys, good conversation as always. And we want you to be part of that conversation, by the way. Hit us up on social media. You can use the hashtag WUTV. What do you think about the Central Pacific? Is Hawaii prepared? Find us right now. We'll have your comments later in the show. We do want to keep you up to date, though, on what's happening right now in the U.S., and for that, we turn it over to Sarah.
Yeah, well, Mike, just in time, we do have one severe thunderstorm warning out there, and it's right near the I-95 corridor. Take a look at the map right now. We've got a few showers and thunderstorms right now along that cold front, but you got to zoom way in to see them. They're tiny, but look at that. One big storm just to the south and west of Washington, D.C. Let's get in there and see what this guy's looking like. So Manassas and Manassas Park, you're probably going to get this thunderstorm in the next 20 to 30 minutes. You're under severe thunderstorm warning until 7 p.m. Eastern time. Let's see if we can take a look at some of the specifics on this. We're going to take a look at the lightning because it's probably going to be a pretty good lightning producer. Okay, not extreme. So let's see if we can query some of these, and these are going to be within the last 15 minutes. So yeah, about 76 strikes within the last 15 minutes. So the lightning is going to be a little bit of an issue, but probably dropping some heavy rainfall is going to be the biggest deal. Let's take a look at really quickly some of the latest precip accumulations, because this is probably, it's not moving very much, probably dumping a lot of heavy rainfall. So yeah, if we query this, with probably about 2 inches in just the last hour. Yeah, right on the money, 2 inches in just the last hour. So if you're out there driving home, it's middle of rush hour. So if you get caught under one of these things, you might have some problems with water on the roads. We'll be watching these and maybe tracking severe into the northeast for tomorrow morning.
And one of the worst commutes when it's dry, so wet is not helping us at all. Sarah, thank you. Hey, a lot more to come on Weather Underground, including some incredible imagery from Typhoon Koni. Plus, we look back 10 years ago to Katrina, where the monster storm was today and how that impacted its development. It's all ahead when you join us here on Weather Underground. When did you decide you were going to take this? when it got named?
The Off Outdoor Refresher Course. Does your airspace feel off limits? 1. Take a stroll. 2. Use off. 3. Flare nostrils. Inhale oxygen. Get back out there with off. Keep bugs off.
SC Johnson.
Brought to you by Off Mosquito Protection.
We don't need that many bags of apples. Some more pasta.
Certainly.
Low prices every day on everything for whatever you put your heart into. Walmart. Save money. Live better.
If you have moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis like me, and you're talking to a rheumatologist about a biologic, this is Humira. This is Humira helping to relieve my pain and protect my joints from further damage. This is Humira helping me reach for more. Doctors have been prescribing Humira for more than 10 years. Humira works for many adults. It targets and helps to block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to RA symptoms.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Talk to your doctor and visit Humira.com. This is Humira at Work.
It's so shiny. I know, Mommy, but it's time to let the new kitchen get some sleep.
If you want beautiful results, you know where to go. Angie's List. Everyone can shop for services from highly rated companies, even without a membership. But as a member, you can save more, and you get exclusive access to ratings and reviews. Angie's List is there for all your projects, big and small. Pretty.
Come see what the new Angie's List can do for you.
What's this? A box. It takes worn out things and makes them better.
It's our biggest breakthrough yet. We're taking worn-out batteries and making them into something strong. Energizer Eco Advanced, world's first long-lasting battery made with 4% recycled batteries.
Hey, you working for Nature Made too?
Yup.
Go team!
You've heard about friendly probiotics, but why take one that only targets half your digestive tract? New Nature Made Advanced has dual strains that target your whole tract. Part of the new line of probiotics from Nature Made.
Do you know how hard it is to do a commercial with a Dodge and not do a burnout?
Every morning, Rudy gets these new Milk-Bone Good Morning Daily Vitamin Treats. They've got nutrients that aren't in most dog foods, and I get stuck with these. Hey, why don't I get a treat? Oh, that's right. I get pancakes. Say it with Milk-Bone.
Andrew, Rita, Sandy. Meet Chris, Jackie, Joe. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
Welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground. It is Hurricane Week on the Weather Channel. We're looking back 10 years ago. Tropical Storm Katrina was officially named. It would eventually intensify and push towards Florida, where it would hit the next day. The gang is all back with us. We know what Katrina eventually did in the Gulf of Mexico, but we remember the Weather Channel and the coverage. I remember watching it from home that day, and I was just amazed to see it covered in Florida. Dr. Postel, Dr. Masters, Brian Norcross, and Sarah all here. You know, when you look back to this specific day, You chased Hurricane Katrina, by the way, when it became a tropical storm and got its name on this day 10 years ago. Did you already have plans to go chase it in the Gulf of Mexico?
To the Gulf of Mexico, and the reason why is once they get in the Gulf of Mexico, unfortunately, these things are trapped, right? They are probably going to make landfall. There's really no way out for them, and so, yeah, we figured that it would be in the northern Gulf of Mexico sometime later, so that was when the planning began.
Long way to go to drive to South Florida, only to drive out of Florida to go somewhere else. So the goal all along was go to the Gulf Coast.
The Gulf Coast, right, unfortunately.
Dr. Masters, did you think when Katrina got its name initially that we would be looking at the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history?
No, but I was in New York City that day. I remember talking to some Associated Press people. One of them said to me, oh, you know, we could really use a big story. It's been such a quiet summer. And I said,
careful what you wish for, right?
You wish for. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something bad, but not, of course, catastrophic like it was.
Brian, knowing, you know, how nervous people in South Florida get, I mean, they'd gone through Andrew, of course, and that was the one they remember. Katrina maybe kind of snuck up on them because it formed very close to Florida and intensified as it was making landfall.
It intensified very quickly. And remember, it was a kind of a busy hurricane season. This is the K-storm, right? The K-storm is happening on the 25th of August. So, 24th of August. So it formed over the Bahamas, and there was all kind of talk on whether what the tropical depression number should be called. Should it be 10 again, or should it be 12? And so we're all embroiled in all that. But it was really right offshore of Miami, and even just 10 years ago, we really didn't have a good grip on exactly what was going to happen and what we should be thinking. It really kind of happened in real time. I was on television continuously in Miami through that whole event, and you know, what's it doing? Where is it? It's turning. Oh, it's turning. Yeah. What's going to happen?
Do you think we ever could have envisioned what would happen once it emerged off the coast of Florida?
Well, you know, I mean, when you looked at the Gulf, right, you know, at that point in the year, I mean, we had a lot of ocean heat content, a lot of hot water, 80 plus. I'm not sure what the maximum sea surface temperature anomalies were in that area, but I mean, especially as it was headed towards New Orleans, I mean, it got right over that loop current and just exploded and dropped, what, 97 millibars in 24 hours. So, I mean, the thing had rapidly intensified before it approached the coast of Florida, and then did it again before it hit Louisiana. I mean, we actually have a graphic that shows how quickly it developed, like right there in the Bahamas, and then you see it's like as it moves off to the east, I mean, it became a depression one day. The next day it was a named storm. The next day, bam, right into Florida. So it was just very quick. I mean, there was a week time span from the time it was born to the time that it struck New Orleans. I mean, we think about how long we follow these across the Atlantic.
Not this one.
Yeah.
Brian, you talk a lot when you give talks across the country, across the world about preparedness. This doesn't give you a lot of time to prepare when it forms so close and intensifies so closely to land.
No, it was really a surprise to us, and really what the big deal was, it wasn't the wind. Even though the wind did knock at an overpass that was under construction over and down and closed the highway. So it was really inconvenient, but it was the rain. The way it's set up in the southern part of Miami-Dade County, not far from the Hurricane Andrew zone, was a tremendous flood, like 20 inches of rain there from this thing. So that ended up being the big effect, and really the metropolitan area recovered pretty quickly from this. And we knew it couldn't be horrendous because it was just forming offshore. So more it was the surprise factor that it happened so quickly.
When you saw this thing intensify and hit Florida, what was your thought as you were making your way toward the Gulf Coast?
I'm thinking it could be really bad. I mean, it had the ingredients, the vortex had kind of sort of symmetrized by then, and I think it surprised people in South Florida how strong even the wind was. You're right about the rain, but I was on the phone with people in Miami at the time thinking, my house is at risk here already.
For sure.
Well, we actually had one fatality in Florida as it was coming across, but you know, that would obviously pale in comparison to what happened next. But
it did pack a punch. Everyone forgets about the landfall in Florida, right? Good conversation, guys. Remember, the Weather Channel is marking the 10th anniversary of Katrina with a 1-hour special, Katrina 2065, this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Using cutting-edge weather animations, we'll address the question much of the Gulf Coast still asks: could we endure this again Thursday night at 8, right after Weather Underground? Coming up, we get a close and personal look at a typhoon, an amazing image, but there's way more than meets the eye, literally. We're going to picture it for you next.
We always were told we were German. We were in a German dance group. I wore lederhosen, so I just started poking around on Ancestry. Then I decided to have my DNA tested through Ancestry DNA. It turns out I'm Scottish. So I traded in my lederhosen for a kilt.
I thought you said you were going to test drive this Buick first.
I am test driving it for 24 hours.
Nice Buick. I guess the test drive last night went well.
Actually, I'm still on it.
You know we're test driving this Buick for 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
Test washing it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know when you're done. I'm going to take it test shopping.
Now get the best of remaining 2015s with cash back for 15% of the MSRP on select Enclave models in stock the longest. That's over $7,200 on this Buick Enclave.
Let the games begin. Cabela's Fall Great Outdoor Days are finally here. Gear up with big savings on top brands. Don't miss our biggest sale and event of the season. Going on now in-store or online at Cabela's.com.
Scientists Walk Into a Bar is a show where we explain the weather. Welcome to Awesome. This is all really badass. There's no need to show off.
This is about how far you can push yourself.
I have made
fire! Currently in our area, 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 62. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain 60%. Tuesday, mainly sunny, high 81. Winds west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 55. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Working on my feet all day gave me pain here.
In my knees.
But now, I step on this machine and get my number, which matches my Dr. Scholl's custom-fit orthotic inserts. Now I get immediate relief from my foot pain.
My knee pain.
Find a machine at drscholls.com.
You totaled your brand new car. Nobody's hurt, but there will still be pain. It comes when your insurance company says they'll only pay 3/4 of what it takes to replace it. What are you supposed to do, drive 3/4 of a car? Now, if you had Liberty Mutual new car replacement, you'd get your whole car back. I guess they don't want you driving around on 3 wheels. Smart.
With Liberty Mutual new car replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
While others pre-form and pre-cook, Boston Market promises to make food good. Like our Parmesan Tuscan rotisserie chicken, made with Italian spices. Back for a limited time. Boston Market, all good.
Hey, Ted.
Hey,
How's it going?
good. How you doing?
Better.
Life's bleachable moments need Clorox bleach.
From the very minute you have this idea that you want to be in business, you need to have that card.
Presentation is everything because they're not only first impression of you, but now you're handing them this product that really is kind of going to define your business in their mind pretty quickly.
You want a very thick card that feels nice in your client's hand.
I think it's nice to have a choice because sometimes you want a glossy card, but for other projects, I don't necessarily want all that.
Your business card is a reflection of you. It should say exactly what you want. With a range of design, stock, and finish options at Vistaprint, it will. Get 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. Just enter promo code TV500 at Vistaprint.com.
That business card, when I make a connection with someone, has to be phenomenal. It has to be elegant and invoke all the things that Diamond stands for.
Just that professionalism is going to make you, as a business owner, more successful just right off the bat.
Vistaprint.com.
This kind of weather, all bets are off.
Welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground. You're sounding off this evening using the hashtag WUTV. Love your tweets this evening. We're talking about the tropics in particular. And here's a comment for you this evening about Katrina. Notice this. Sal Mora writes, you guys should read The Great Deluge by Douglas Brinkley. It gives an excellent analysis narrative on Katrina's effects on New Orleans. We all know what happened there, but it was a lot more in play than just weather that impacted New Orleans.
Yeah, right. Also, you know, I'd love to read that. And also, Isaac Storm also profiles the September 8, 1900 hurricane in Galveston. Epic hurricane, so also a great read. Our next sounding off, I think we have another one right behind us. There we go. I was stationed on Kumeshima in 1968 and was in my first typhoon. We lost 2 radar domes. Wow. Wind meter was lost at 125 knots.
Knots, not miles per hour.
Wow.
Knots. But think about it. This is one of the issues we have, by the way, when it comes to landfalling systems. We don't often get accurate readings because the anemometers often get destroyed.
Right, and the gusts that we have from Coney and Ishigakujima, I believe, 159 miles per hour. So the fact that that instrument held on and measured that gust, that's pretty substantial.
I like the idea of like a sonic anemometer. It doesn't have moving parts, so the cups can't get ripped off, you know. By the way, I appreciate everyone that's commenting for us, and keep using that hashtag WUTV. We'll get as many comments on as we can for the remainder of the evening. But in the meantime, let's talk more typhoons, and we're going to picture this. We grab a picture or a video every day and we break down the intricacies of it because there's more than meets the eye to a lot of things. So we're going to break down tonight images, high-resolution images, by the way, of a satellite of Coney here.
And speaking of eyes, we got a good one, right?
It's really amazing. So we get this high-res, by the way, high-res of Coney. Look at this. Stadium effect. This is Japanese radar. They do a scan every 4 minutes.
I'm not sure the spacing, but it's the highest resolution thing that we've got out there right now.
Oh my, it's just truly fascinating.
It's just amazing, you know. I mean, take a look. People that were, I mean, because meteorology is a fairly new science, you know, we talk about how quickly the science has developed. But I mean, if you told them then, you're going to be able to look at this at some point. I mean, would they have believed it? It's amazing how far technology has come. We can see these almost in every single typhoon we have now in the West Pac.
Okay, so you may just see a regular old eye of a typhoon here. We see so much more, including right in there. Can you see a little vortex spinning within the eye? You can't pick that up on anything generally other than high-res satellite.
It's just beautiful. I mean, and oftentimes, you know, we'll see several, you know, you get these little shear vortices like right around the middle of there at the surface. So, I mean, the fact, I mean, just the one is great enough, you know, but when you get multiple ones, it's just, it's fascinating.
We get what we call also the stadium effect, where it's kind of narrow and inward at the eye, and then it spreads out toward the top of the storm like a baseball stadium or football stadium would.
And if you were under this, you know, you'd see a few little clouds there, but ultimately probably some blue sky. I mean, that's...
And different cloud heights there with a different structure. It's awesome stuff. We thought we'd share it with you this evening. All right, I want to check out, by the way, huge waves off of Japan. This all churned up, by the way, by Typhoon Coney here. Look at this. I mean, amazing stuff. This, to me, reminds me of like the coast of Ireland or something like that, right? But no, this was Japan, and all churned up by that typhoon, which packed a wallop, by the way, on Okinawa. All right, time now for a little nightcap. I want to check in this evening with the one and only Stephanie Abrams. She's live in New York. What's interesting about the tropics, Stephanie, whether it be the Pacific or whether it be the Atlantic, you, by the way, were scheduled to fly down to Puerto Rico, but had to call no joy because Danny became pretty much nothing.
Which I'm kind of bummed about. I don't know why the Weather Channel still wouldn't let me go down there and enjoy a little Puerto Rico and the sunshine, right? You know, and some drinks. It's like...
Maybe it speaks to what has happened in the Atlantic the last couple of years. Storms that seem to have, I don't want to root for a storm necessarily, but seem to maybe have some legs to them, suddenly don't. And Danny was that. It was a Cat 3 at one point, and now it's nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, look what it was running into. It was literally running into a wall that was this big and this thick of dry air. Nothing, I don't think, could have penetrated that and held it together. I don't care how big the storm was or how powerful the storm was. You just can't beat the girth of that dry air, Bettis, in the Atlantic.
It has been so long since the U.S. has had to deal. Nice stuff. No, it's been so long since the U.S. has had to deal with something like this. Do you think that complacency is starting to set in? I look at your home state of Florida, 10 years since it's been hit.
Yeah. Listen, complacency, Mike, is not even a matter of 10 years. It seems like year by year we have complacency. Every year I've been at the Weather Channel since 2003. That Mason-Dixon line poll that they do every year, it seems like no one is ever prepared. So I feel like it doesn't matter if it's 10 years or if it's 1 year. People are just like, have a short memory. I guess it's like when you give labor and you're like, you know, having like the worst pain of your life. You're, I'm never having a kid again. And then, you know, 9 months later, you got some Irish twins on your hands.
Steph, I know you're going to bed here soon, but what do you have coming up on Wake Up Without tomorrow morning?
Yeah. Okay, so coming up tomorrow, we're going to talk to a guy who has been part of every disaster that the Salvation Army has helped since 1992. So why he does it, how he got involved, maybe how you can get involved at home. Also, mapping the Pacific Ocean, all these new species. Mike, there's a snail that has a enlarged foot and helps it like escape predators and stuff.
What?
So I'm really curious to see the snail and its big, yeah, exactly. So we'll see what that's all about coming up tomorrow.
You guys pick the most interesting stories. Do you? Of course we do. Do you? WUTV? Of course you do. She is right now.
Duh. I'll be.
Is it West Side or is it Weather Underground? Hey, Steph, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Live from New York. Go to bed right now. Sarah's updating us on our current weather. We're following now coast to coast. Sarah?
Yeah, Mike, so I want you to take a look at this satellite picture first. Look at this. I mean, what season is this, first of all? Take a look at this big upper area of low pressure. We were just talking about this last week. Well, right there it is, and there it goes. We could draw it on there. And we're also going to draw where this cold front is, and that's brought a lot of cooler temperatures to the Midwest. So that front is going to continue to push offshore, but not before it causes probably a few showers and thunderstorms as we move into the Northeast. But we do have a few thunderstorms out there right now, and one of those just here in the Mid-Atlantic. So we were looking at this one a few minutes ago. Take a look. Zoom in here and get that warning for you. So again, some heavy rainfall probably heading towards I-95 right now, almost there. Prince William and Stafford County, severe thunderstorm warning until 7 p.m. Eastern time. You've had about 2 inches of rain dumped in just the last hour from this guy, so you're definitely going to see some ponding on the roadways. Slow down if you got to head out there right now. We're going to keep an eye on this and much more as Weather Underground continues right now.
I got a refreshing root beer.
Root beer?
Getting a little.
I got my little fruit-flavored water stuff with my straw.
All good. All good. Hey, everyone. Thanks for staying us right here on Weather Underground. I'm Mike Bettis. The brains behind the bar is Miss Sarah Dillingham. She'll join us once again this hour. Since 1995, you've come to know and love Weather Underground on your computer, on your phone. But we've listened, and we're very excited to bring the same intense weather experience to your TV. Now, every day at this time, Weather Underground will take over the Weather Channel, and we promise this show is for you, and it is with you. Let's show you what's on tap for this hour. It's our Video 6-Pack, where we count down the top 6 videos of the day, the Weather Wild Card, where you choose the topic, and we'll discuss it later in this hour, and line them up. Hurricane Danny, no more, but there's something right on the heels of the remnants. We'll get into it and get our hands dirty here with Brian Norcross in just a second, but first things first, Danny's not completely forgotten just yet. No. We could have some, albeit minor, impacts to the islands.
Yeah, minor, but minor is good. You know, the rainfall, that's what we're looking for.
Right.
And what I'm going to do, so I'm going to pull this up. We want to do a few more Weather Underground stations. You know, we take a look. We've got our satellite image that shows Danny just basically impacting the Lesser Antilles right now and moving into Virgin Islands. And do we have my iPad now? No, okay. Anyways, well, we're not going to be able to show our iPad right now. So anyhow, we do have Danny. Just the remnants of Danny is left right now. That's going to continue to impact the islands over the next 24 hours. Puerto Rico, you're expecting a good bit of rainfall from this, potentially maybe 2 to 3 inches on the western side of the islands. And for the Virgin Islands, actually, we're getting some of that strong rainfall right now. Let's take a look at our graphics. We actually do have our satellite right now. There we go. So you can see right there, just east of the Dominican Republic, there's Danny. So, I mean, it's moving its way to the west, but we've got, you know, 93 or 98 just right behind it. And we're going to be talking about that probably over the next couple of days as we really see what Danny is going to do. We know that's gone, but now we've got one behind its heels.
Yeah, just line them up here. And Senior Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross is joining us. What's behind Danny looks a lot better than what basically is Danny? It's nothing really.
Yeah, Danny is essentially dried out, right? There's a bit of a spin. But this one, you can see the difference in size there. This is an Invest, so the National Hurricane Center is running models on it, kind of seeing what's going on with it. Here you can see on this, this is the visible satellite from this afternoon. Now the sun has gone down out there, so we stopped the satellite. Okay, we stopped at about 4 o'clock Eastern time. But the thing you can notice is up in here, we see just some bands of clouds. Where down here we see the bright white of the top of the clouds.
More or less the convection of it, right?
Right. And so the center is up to the north there. So the top of it is getting dried out. And what we don't really know right now is what's underneath it. We can do a computer analysis. This is the model analysis of it.
Now, we rely heavily on the models. They tell us everything. Right. Now, albeit, humans made the models, so they're only as good as what the humans are in essence. But what, as far as, I mean, this is indicating closed low. No?
Right. It's indicating,
the Hurricane Center hasn't pulled the trigger yet.
Well, it's indicating an elongated low.
Is that what will it take if it's a closed, elongated low that doesn't pass the sniff test for the Hurricane Center?
If it's too elongated, they want to see a consolidated system with persistent thunderstorms around it. So it's close. There's no question that it's close. And you can see the difference. Look at the difference. Here you have a model analyzed circulation. Here you have just
very little.
What's left of the
So
wave,
obviously there's some cause for concern. What could come of this? We're already tomorrow they're already scheduling invests into this with the hurricane hunters. So the Hurricane Center at least sees reason to go check it out.
Absolutely, because the models indicate it's going to go essentially in Danny's path there. And look at it, 45-mile-an-hour winds is their estimate already, right? So assuming the low closes up, it's Tropical Storm Erica right away. There's no depression stage if that wind speed holds. And look, the pressure 1,003 millibars. It actually went right by a buoy out there. So they did get some information. So the pressure and the wind speed estimated from that.
Brian, we have a comment from a viewer. So you're sounding off on this, and let's show the comment here. And this comes in from Evan writing: is it possible that Danny will break up some of the dry air for the next invest to blossom? Your thoughts?
A bit, but Danny was really little.
Right.
But absolutely, the overall path here is moistening some. And so this thing does have
But wasn't there I feel like the same thing happened though with Danny. We kind of had this little avenue where it looked like it could carve out, and it did. It went to a Cat 3 and then quickly went back down again. Could that same scenario play out here?
Yes, it could. And it's the open question. The thing is, when we look at the models, and we look at the models in a minute, but when we look at the models coming toward the U.S., the global models, the GFS and the Euro, weaken it. Some of the other models strengthen it and take it up into the jet stream up there. But the thing is that none of the models have a good initialization. Until we get the airplanes out there and the system actually develops a cohesive circulation, the initialization of the models is, maybe right, maybe not. So we just don't have any confidence in the solution at this point.
So it's kind of a wait at this point for what comes in with the Hurricane Hunter. So if they're scheduled to go out there tomorrow, how long will it take then for us to get that data into the models, and when will we see the results of that?
It'll go in tomorrow, so we'll get it late tomorrow night in the models the first time. But the thing is that it's moving so quickly that they're going to have to, if they think it's Erica, they got to put up tropical storm watches immediately.
They have to pull the trigger.
Right. And actually, they want to be able to put them up before, that's their plan, is eventually to be able to put them up before they actually have a depression or a storm, but they don't have that ability yet. So right now, they have to actually wait for the thing to consolidate to put up the watches or warnings.
Sarah with us, and Dr. Jeff Masters, co-founder of Weather Underground, is here. That's the tricky thing. So do you suppose, Dr. Masters, they're going to forego depression altogether and go right to tropical storm and then start initiating watches and warnings?
Yeah, absolutely. As early as Wednesday night, we could see impacts in the islands.
So it has to be, I mean, you think that they'll go to tropical storm, you think, before they even get any Hurricane Hunter data. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. But first light images tomorrow from the visible satellite are going to show a tropical storm, and they're going to initiate, I think, warnings right then, if not earlier.
Yeah, and remember how quickly Danny got intensified. I mean, we were like 100 miles per hour was like, that's a little high. But then the next day we're like, oh my gosh, 100 miles per hour. Look at it. But it was a tiny little thing, but it was potent for sure.
Yeah, this is bigger though.
This one, we'll see. I mean, time will tell, but we can't take anything lightly at this point, right? All right, you have a question for Dr. Masters? Brian, Sarah, hey, join the conversation. Facebook, Twitter, Google+. You can use that hashtag WUTV. We'll get your questions and your comments on air here, of course. But before we take a little time out here, I want to get you up to date on what's happening from coast to coast. And Sarah takes a look at your current conditions and your forecast.
Yeah, Mike, we've been talking about those severe thunderstorms in the mid-Atlantic, but right now we're going to take a little bit of a look at East Texas, maybe just a little bit northwest of Lake Charles there, south of Shreveport. Got 2 little warnings out there all by their lonesome. Dallas, you don't have any thunderstorms right now, maybe one little thing there just to the north of your area. Nacogdoches County until 6:30 p.m. You have a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, not really a ton of upper level flow right now, so we're just seeing these things kind of hang out and dump some heavy rain as they do so. DeSoto and Sabine counties, also in western Louisiana, parishes, until 6:30 p.m. Central Time, you have severe thunderstorm warning. So overall, it's a pretty quiet, active weather pattern, Mike. But we're going to be watching the next couple of days. That cooler air is filtering into the east, so we're going to notice that. So that's going to kind of clear out the whole chance for storms over the next couple of days.
People will be happy though with some of the cooler air after the heat they've had this summer. Not too bad at all, right? Open the windows. Hey, a lot left here to go on Weather Underground, including why this time of the year is so intense in the tropics. We're going to break down the reasons with Dr. Masters, with Brian Norcross, with Sarah, when we come back on Weather Underground. Did the peak day, it's September 10th?
Do you know how hard it is to do a commercial with a Dodge and not do a burnout?
V Združenih državah Amerike je vsak 5. otrok lačen. Milijoni otrok se težko učijo, ker nimajo dovolj hrane. Če so otroci prihodnost naroda, kakšno prihodnost imajo Združene države, če njeni otroci nimajo dovolj hrane za uspešno življenje? Amerika danes potrebuje našo pomoč.
Are you sending your kids to school with an allergy medicine that may make them drowsy? Only Children's Claritin provides non-drowsy 24-hour allergy relief.
And it's the #1 pediatrician-recommended non-drowsy brand.
In class and out, your kids can live Claritin Clear.
To feel this special, you need to eat this special. Start your day with 150 nourishing calories in a bowl of Special K. Eat special, feel special.
I'd like to put in my 15-year notice.
You're quitting?
Technically retiring, sir. With a little help from my State Farm agent, I plan to retire in 15 years.
Wow, you're totally blindsiding me here. Who's going to manage your accounts? This is a devastating blow I was not prepared for.
Take charge of your retirement. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
Hey, you working for Nature Made too?
Yup.
Go team!
You've heard about friendly probiotics, but why take one that only targets half your digestive tract? New Nature Made Advanced has dual strains that target your whole tract. Part of the new line of probiotics from Nature Made.
Tomorrow on AMHQ,
you're about to see something you have never seen on television before.
I want to make sure everybody can get an idea of what's happening here.
Let's talk about that.
Let's lift the base of this and talk a little bit about tornadoes.
That's pretty impressive. Let me show you why.
We'll tell you about it coming up.
Katrina 2065, Thursday night at 8 on the Weather Channel. Brought to you by Citgo. Learn about Citgo Coastal Restoration at CitgoCaringForOurCoast.com.
And welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground. You're taking a live look right now at San Juan, Puerto Rico. Just a few clouds out there. We'd call it fair skies. The best thing that we could hope for is cloudy skies with some rain. May not be really in the offing. Danny has pretty much fizzled out. We thought it'd bring you some rain, but really hasn't happened. Taking a look at live Weather Underground conditions right now. Temperatures are generally in the 80s. Take a look at San Juan at Condado right here. 84 degrees. Winds out of the southeast. Scattered clouds and just a 50% chance of rain. I'm not sure that's going to cut it for us in San Juan when we're considering that we're in extreme drought right now. Well, it's finally starting to see the tropics get active, whether Danny is fizzled or not. The Atlantic is busy, the Pacific is busy. Really, we shouldn't be surprised. The driving force behind all the recent activity, by the way, what's to it? The gang is back again to talk about it. Sarah, Brian, and Jeff. MDR, we talk about it, that development region. What do you make of it this time of year?
Well, it's something I think we want to, Jeff and I were just talking about this, want to watch for is to see if it essentially is going to shut off a bit here now that Danny is gone. We saw this upper atmosphere wave go by, a Kelvin wave, and Danny blew up when that happened. Now, these things, you can't always pin them down, right? But you do an analysis of the upper level wind anomalies, they're called, and sure enough, it coincided with Danny blowing up, and now it's moved on by. So if you notice, the models aren't picking up on the one after this potential Erica as much as and Danny suddenly kind of blew up. Seemed like everything was just perfect for just a minute, right? So this is where we look, but it's not just that throughout this stretch of the calendar that it's always good. There's this kind of macro factor of the MJO and these Kelvin waves that we think actually enhances it for part of this time.
Dr. Masters, I know you look a lot at the overall global patterns. What do you see setting up short-term and long-term in this main development region?
Now, the MJO, as Brian was alluding to, is this pattern, about 50-day cycle of tropical thunderstorm activity that moves around the equator, and it might be entering a favorable phase for Atlantic right now for increased tropical storm activity. There is a very powerful tropical wave over Africa right now that's going to emerge in a few days. We'll see if this MJO and this tropical wave happen to phase, and maybe we get the F storm. So this is the most active time of year, and I expect we'll probably see a few things pop.
But if things do pop, do they have staying power? You know, I look at a tweet today by Dr. Phil Klotzbach from Colorado State, one of the premier hurricane researchers, writes, Danny, the 26th major hurricane to not impact the U.S. basically since Wilma. I mean, that is quite a stretch.
I mean, when you look at how prolific of a season 2005 was, and you know, people are thinking, oh my gosh, when is it gonna stop? I mean, it was so many records. I was trying to count them up. I mean, just dozens of records set. And you know, we've had these quiet periods, you know, and I want to point out one earlier comment you had, you know, we were saying like once the storm gets into the Gulf, it's probably gonna make landfall somewhere. Well, actually, not if you're Tropical Storm Karen. Anybody remember Karen last year? That was so, we were like, oh my gosh, you know, we're really gearing up, and all of a sudden, I don't think I'm going to do anything.
Don't tell Dr. Postel that one, because he banks on the Gulf Coast chasing.
A rare gutter ball in the alley.
Right, and generally it's got to go in there, and it's got to hit something, because there's really no escape. It's not going to do a 180 and go back out. El Nino. There's got to be some impact there, right? So
the El Nino shuts off the Caribbean in general and the western side of the MJO.
And that shear sets up, and it just is the end of systems.
For most of this hurricane season, that should be there.
All right, good stuff, Brian. Good stuff, guys, for sure. Hey, coming up next, we're taking you to school. We're going to head up to the lab to analyze two key forces that come off the African coast. One creates tropical storms, the other destroys them. Oh, Dr. Postel's got so much to say. We'll go up to the lab and check in with him next on Weather Underground. Well, it was funny because that Saharan air layer was...
Scotch Blue Painter's Tape, the one with 3M adhesive technology. To resist paint bleed. For clean removal and amazing results the first time. Pull off a better paint job with Scotch Blue Painter's Tape.
Break the ice with breath-freshening, cooling crystals. Icebreakers.
Right, these should be... Oh! Gorilla Super Glue. Of course.
Gorilla Super Glue's rubber-toughened formula holds after repeated drops and bumps.
Oh, thanks.
Gorilla Super Glue for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
When a moment spontaneously turns romantic, why pause to take a pill? And why stop what you're doing to find a bathroom? Cialis for daily use is the only daily tablet approved to treat erectile dysfunction, so you can be ready anytime the moment is right. Plus, Cialis treats the frustrating urinary symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently, day or night. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use. Insurance coverage has expanded nationally, and you may now be covered. Contact your health plan for the latest information.
I thought you said you were going to test drive this Buick first.
I am test driving it for 24 hours.
Where's the salesperson?
At the dealership.
Nice Buick. I guess the test drive last night went well.
Actually, I'm still on it. You know we're test driving this Buick for 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
Test washing it.
Okay, well, let me know when you're done. I'm going to take it test shopping.
Introducing the Buick 24 Hours of Happiness Test Drive. It's on your terms and a better way to take a test drive.
Glad you're with us right here on AMHQ. The whole team.
Right, either go all in or just tap out.
Here we go. I told you we're going to bust out of this drought.
As we say, keep watching with us this morning because we're all watching history happen together.
We've been killing date night. We've been focused on apps and hashtags and posts, anything but each other. But tonight, we have this pizza. We delight in the crispness of thin crust, slices of mozzarella, savory basil pesto, and the wholeness of cherry tomatoes. Tonight, we breathe life back into life. New Bon Appetit Pizza. Life is delicious.
Once upon a time, there was a nice house that lived with a family. One day, it started to rain and rain. Water got inside and ruined everybody's everythings. The house thought she let the family down, but the family just didn't think a flood could ever happen.
The reality is, floods do happen. Protect what matters. Get flood insurance. Visit floodsmart.gov/flood to learn more.
Wednesday on AMHQ, tropical activity in the Atlantic heating up as Danny weekends. Now, we have our eyes on two other areas of interest in the Atlantic. Wednesday on AMHQ.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 62. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain 60%. Tuesday, a mainly sunny sky. High 81. Tuesday night, a mostly clear sky. Low 55. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground. Well, let's take a live look at the sunset in the Grill, Jamaica. Your moment of zen, Dr. Postel.
You know, I
could see you, an umbrella drink in hand, and out there on the there on the sailboat.
Just one.
All right, hey, whatever. You want to two-fist it, so be it. Who am I to judge? Hey, you know, oftentimes we talk about the Caribbean being a target for tropical systems this time of year. Not so much this year. In fact, it's been a while since the Caribbean has been a target. But the hot tropics right now with Dr. Greg Postel. We look to Africa a lot this time of year, and we look for these African waves. People probably saying, waves? What? Not waves we're surfing, atmospheric waves.
Yeah, these are ripples, sort of coherent circulations in the jet stream. And the jet stream here is an African easterly jet, right? This is a different, we're normally used to seeing westerlies, but here the temperature contrast is flipped. So you got the warm air to the north over Africa, and the cooler air to the south, and in between you got that jet stream, and inside of that jet, you have these little ripples that are sort of thunderstorm clusters and convectively active at times. Then they roll across Africa and get out over the water. And sometimes they behave themselves and dissipate. Other times they go nuts and become major hurricanes.
So sometimes that battle between the Saharan air layer and the intertropical convergence zone. Let's break down, by the way, that Saharan air layer. You love to talk about this. It's complex, but it can be the one thing that really impedes development.
It does. I mean, really what we've got is a very hot desert over Africa, right? We know the Saharan desert here. But what's very interesting to me is what this really is. When the air gets really hot over the deserts, you end up getting basically an adiabatic layer up to about 15,000 feet. So a mixed layer, basically the boundary layer, goes up to almost 500 millibars. This is a well-mixed layer where there's dust, minerals suspended in air flying around there. And then what happens after that is this air mass gets advected out over or transported out over the cooler waters. You know what, Mike? This is not unlike the air masses, the elevated mixed layers that we get over the continent when we get big thunderstorm outbreaks. You have that sort of hot and dry air and stable air riding out over the continent. The same thing is happening here. The hot and dry air is moving out over the ocean, but what it does, right? It's a stable air. It's a hot and dry air aloft, suppresses thunderstorm activity. So when you have these Saharan outbreaks over the water, you tend to have a lot of shallow convection, and you can even see these on the satellite pictures.
The shallow convection is not what you're looking for when you're looking for hurricane formation, because you want this thing to build vertically, much like a thunderstorm.
That's exactly right. And look, we've got on this picture, this is back on July 7th, so this is not now, but you can very clearly see the dust coming out over the Atlantic Ocean from Africa, and associated with that dust is that warm and stable air aloft. Now, a lot of people think, okay, well, the dust is what kills the hurricanes. Well, not necessarily so. More likely, it is the air mass that accompanies the dust.
All right, so we saw the clouds in there, but you could clearly pick out where that dust was. When we take a look at water vapor imagery, orange and red, dry air, you get the whites, the pinks, the blues, that's moist air. It seems like you get a lot, at least this time of year, we've been getting a lot of dry Saharan air.
We are getting a lot of it. You know what? And what we're looking at, water vapor, is the basically the dryness in the middle and upper level. So some of this is associated with Saharan air, but some of it's not. But the idea is that we're getting a lot of air transported in this direction into the MDR, the main development region of the tropical Atlantic.
And if you look at what's right there, we're expecting to be our next tropical storm, Erica. But, you know, will it be fighting off dry air, or will it pull some of that air into it?
I think it's fighting it right now. I was looking at some of the data, and there's 850 millibar relative humidities right above 98L that are about 30%. And in the last visible shots of the day over that area, you could see dust in the air. So there is a little bit of a layer of air, of the Saharan air, that's kind of hidden by some of these clouds right now. It's underneath them, but it may be keeping it at bay, at least on the northern side. That's why you guys were talking about it earlier. Most of the thunderstorm apparently is on the south side of the circulation.
And for now, it will probably stay there.
Yes. We'll have to watch it closely, though. It's got a potential to grow.
All right, Dr. Postel, thank you. Hopefully you learned something with that. We've got a lot more ahead here on Weather Underground, including a look back at Hurricane Andrew, which blasted the state of Florida on this day in weather history. Plus our daily six-pack, we're going to break down the top clips of the night. Where will this clip rank? We've got the best of the best later in the hour. And right now, we want you to go to weatherunderground.com/WooTV. Chat with us during the break. We'll do a live stream with you. Wonderground.com/WUTV. We'll be back after this short break. That's right, Postel. Come on.
Katrina 2065, Thursday night at 8 on the Weather Channel. Brought to you by Citgo. Learn about Citgo Coastal Restoration at CitgoCaringForOurCoast.com.
This is Henry. Expertise, staining carpet. It is his life's work. He is relentless. He is resourceful. But this is new life-proof carpet from the Home Depot, with advanced stain technology built in and our best warranty ever. Checkmate, Henry. Let's do this. Get any carpet installed, including new life-proof, for just $37. Only at the Home Depot.
To truly feel healthy on the outside, you have to feel healthy at your core. True Biotics, a probiotic from One A Day, naturally helps support both your digestive and immune health by combining 2 types of good bacteria. True Biotics. Be true to your health.
Sleep. Remember when it welcomed you like a friend? Then it became more elusive. But why? When you have insomnia, it may affect the wake neurotransmitters in your brain, disrupting your wake and sleep messages. Belsomra is a prescription medicine for adults who have trouble falling or staying asleep. Belsomra is thought to help turn down wake messages by targeting and inhibiting the action of orexin, a neurotransmitter that plays a central role in sending wake messages. Only Belsomra works this way.
Do not take Belsomra if you have narcolepsy. When taking Belsomra, don't drive or operate heavy machinery until you feel fully awake. Walking, eating, driving, or engaging in other activities while asleep without remembering it the next day have been reported. Belsomra should not be taken together with alcohol. Abnormal behaviors may include aggressiveness, confusion, agitation, or hallucinations. The temporary inability to move while falling asleep or waking up and temporary leg weakness have also been reported. In depressed patients, worsening depression, including risk of suicide, may occur. Alcohol may increase these risks. Side effects include next-day drowsiness.
Sleep. Ask your doctor about Belsomra.
Turning in the grain again, the bells begin to chime. Time, she says, there's no turning back.
You can pass down a Subaru Forester. She's all yours. But you get to keep the memories.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
While others pre-form and pre-cook, Boston Market promises to make food good. Like our Parmesan Tuscan rotisserie chicken, made with Italian spices. Back for a limited time. Boston Market. All good.
Press the trauma unit 5. What do we got?
BP 64 over 40.
2 units of sides. Multiple foreign objects in the body.
Scissors.
If you're the guy from the operation game, you get operated on. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
This is about how far you can push yourself.
This ain't your mama's science show.
There's no need to show off that.
This kind of weather, all bets are off.
This day in history, August 24th, 1992. Hurricane Andrew, a tightly wound Category 5 storm, makes landfall near Homestead, Florida, with sustained winds of 165 miles per hour and a central pressure of 922 millibars. A storm surge of 17 feet is recorded in Biscayne Bay. Andrew was the last Category 5 hurricane to strike the U.S. and only the third Cat 5 in recorded history to make a U.S. landfall. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground. You know, we take you back to 1992, and Andrew, at the time, it was the costliest hurricane to ever make landfall in the United States. Sarah, Jeff, and Brian join us again. Brian, I mean, let's just say it. It's the one that made you. Your station at the time, you worked in Miami at the time, stayed on the air, you still had power, and you literally talked South Florida through that storm.
Yeah, that was a preparation lesson. I mean, we had spent more time, more effort, more man hours preparing for a hurricane, and there hadn't been one since 1965.
Wow.
But for 2.5 years, we had done all this work and put in all these backup systems, and then we had this hellacious hurricane. I mean, we really had no idea it was going to be this unbelievable event.
Right. At the time, Cat 4 when it made landfall, and then post-analysis, Dr. Masters, years later, Cat 5. What changed in the post-analysis years later?
Yeah, we've got a lot more data now from GPS dropsondes, and that really changed the equation. We've looked at a lot more situations where we have real-time data from high-resolution sorts of instrumentation in the core of strong hurricanes, and that allowed us to reanalyze it as a Cat 5.
Knowing where the storm hit, just south of Miami, if that had been just a few miles north?
It could have been so much worse, you know. I mean, when we talk about Katrina, you know, that was the costliest storm to make landfall in the U.S., $108 billion estimated total damage. And, you know, and that beats Andrew. But if Andrew had hit Miami, downtown Miami, I mean, that would have been a completely different story.
Yeah, what do you think, Brian?
I remember Katrina really was not a hurricane disaster as much in Mississippi it was. It was an engineering disaster in New Orleans. And Andrew, if Andrew happened again, it would be a $50 or $60 billion storm, just hitting those southern suburbs of Miami that were mostly agricultural, by the way, back where the core of the storm hit back then. And it's really unimaginable. We don't know what Miami would be like today if Hurricane Andrew had come through and taken out the busiest passenger port in the world, one of the busiest international airports, the banking center of Latin America, the business center in Coral Gables, South Beach. If it had come there 15 miles farther north,
whole different story.
It would have, all of that would have been destroyed.
One thing, though, that I am very impressed by with the state of Florida is they have such stringent building codes now, maybe the best in the country.
Well, it's Miami-Dade County. And Miami-Dade and Broward County are the only two with the high wind code, it's called. And actually, Palm Beach County used to have it and dropped it, thought they didn't need it. Yeah, I know, it's insanity. But then, and it's a war in Florida to keep that. Miami-Dade County has to constantly fight with Tallahassee because there's all this lobbying pressure to not require these incredible codes. So everything is being built down there, and Miami is exploding with construction like nowhere else. Everything that's being built, which is a bizarre thing given global warming, but everything is being built so incredibly strongly, you feel like you're on a ship.
Well, what percent are built to that standard now? Because the older stuff's not.
The older stuff is not, but everything new is, and many buildings have been retrofitted. So there is no city as ready for a high wind event as the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area.
It was a lesson. It was a lesson all of us learned a very hard way, unfortunately. Hey, time now for our weather wild card. You picked the topic, by the way, and let's recap your choices that you had today. Flirting with fall, record-breaking heat, and where there's smoke. You voted for flirting with fall, and you want to talk about temperatures, and we're more than happy to do it. All right, moving into midweek, by the way, we've got this fallish front, if you will, with this big low embedded across the northern Great Lakes, and that's really bringing down a nice refreshing air mass here for a lot of the eastern half of the country.
Yeah, you know, we were just talking about this last week. We had this big upper low that moved through, you know, brought storms again to the east coast and the mid-Atlantic. So we've seen that persistent ridge in the west, trough in the east, and now, thankfully, this trough in the east is bringing us some much cooler temperatures. It's going to be so nice.
Hey, look at that. All you have to really do is look at the airflow in general here, which is almost all out of the northwest here. So if you live in Minneapolis, Des Moines, Chicago, all the way down through the Ohio Valley, we're liking the setup here.
All of that cooler Canadian air starting to filter in, and it's going to make its way all the way to the southeast. We didn't really see it make it all the way down into the southeast last time, but that's going to be a different story. Take a look at these temperatures, Mike. 73 in Chicago, about 10 degrees below average tomorrow. Detroit, 72.
I like some of the things that I see here with some of these numbers, especially when you go to like a Thursday. I mean, look at Detroit. I mean, I call that uber refreshing here. 74 degrees this time of year. Nice. 75 in Pittsburgh.
I don't know the last time it was that cool down here, but you know, I think we're going to get it. Let's take a look at some of these. And the biggest thing you're going to notice, this dry air moving in. Look at these dew points. 54 in Nashville. We're going to take that through and just watch the drier air come in. 54, bottoming out. So that cooler, that drier air, that's what's going to help those temperatures get back down into the 50s in the next couple of days, at least the upper 50s.
You can pretty clearly see, by the way, where that front is, you know, from Raleigh, maybe back down through the Big Bend here of Florida. Everyone behind that front is in really refreshing air for a change. Lots of the southeast have been just baking all summer. This is a nice change.
Right, and look at those temperatures. 58 degrees in Nashville in the morning. And Wednesday morning.
Pull out the sweaters or the coats or what? We're just not used to it being this cool, right?
It's crazy.
As we go later in the week, you know, toward the weekend, things may May get a little bit warmer, by the way. That's our weather wild card. Thank you, everyone, for voting. Time now for our best videos of the day. We call it our video six-pack, all right? Number 6, let's show it to you. It takes us to New Jersey, where a family of black bears decided to cool off from a warm summer day in a family's backyard pool. This Rockaway Township here in New Jersey, where temperatures reached into the upper 80s. Look here, the cubs are playing around. They were playing on the floats. They were kind of boxing. They even at one point here get on the swings. On the swing set, one of them's like on, look, one of them's on the slide.
I love it's like suburban force. It's like, I don't want this float.
He's like, I'm gonna get there. They're getting on the swing.
Wow.
I mean, it's just like humans here. But it was hot. They needed to find a way to cool off.
Bears like to play too. It's not just kids.
All right, let's show you our number 5. Look and listen.
Yeah, that's a lot of hail.
The kids are, I think at one point he says, holy guacamole. But this is a hailstorm in Clearwater, Kansas. Pea-sized hail from a thunderstorm over the weekend. Hail builds up on the driveway. It all looks like snow here. Number 4, damage caused by Typhoon Koni here in Okinawa, Japan.
Yeah, you know, we saw a tremendous amount of damage here in this area. Those winds topped out at about 159 miles per hour at the worst part of this storm. And Josh Morgan was out here actually chasing this as well. Received some or sustained some damage. A lot of cars had been flipped where he was. And, you know, this car obviously bad timing underneath this tree.
Even some boats that had been sunk. Number 3, the wind from Typhoon Koni that caused a lot of damage here. You can hear this too. Oh, it sounds like Hollywood sound effects, doesn't it? Here? Measured sustained winds, by the way, on Okinawa at 112. And this is impressive. It's just a wind-driven rain. Scary.
I've been in one hurricane that was Opal. You know, all we could hear all night was the wind. You wake up the next morning, 20 trees just down. You didn't hear a thing. All I heard was the wind. Just
scary. I'll show you number 2, and we're going to stay with Typhoon Koni here. Massive waves. Something had to sink those boats that we saw previously. Look at these giant waves crashing against the rocks here. I said it earlier. It kind of reminds me of maybe the coast of Ireland or something, but very picturesque waves here. Harmlessly, though, crashing into these rocks. Number 1 video coming up next. It's one place you don't want to be with a thunderstorm bearing down on you, so you've got to stick around for it. In the meantime, we've had a few thunderstorms out there. The forecast is just general summertime thunderstorms.
Yeah, nothing too significant now, but we do have a couple things that we do want to tell you about. And take a look. We've got that one severe thunderstorm now just right along the Texas-Louisiana border. We dropped that other one off to the west, but now we got another group here that's we'll zoom into that. And this is, see if we can get at the query. There we go. DeSoto and Sabine parishes until 7:15 Central Time. Again, most of these are just heavy rainmakers, potentially some strong gusty winds out of these, possibly 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. And let's take one quick look and see how you're doing in the D.C. area. So we have lost that severe thunderstorm warning that was just south and west of the D.C. metro area, but that heavy rain still going to be an issue. We've seen these dump 1 to 2 inches in just 1 hour's time, Mike. So again, if you get under these, if you're driving along right now, that's crossing I-95 corridor all the way from D.C. to Baltimore. So slow it down a little bit and have a little bit of patience.
But usually overnight, these things die down once the more stable air and the diurnal heating is gone.
Exactly.
Good stuff. All right, folks, stick around. Up next, we go old school. Dave Schwartz and his wonders of weather. His wow. Dave, bring your chalkboard in. Dave's got the tidbits of the day that you may not have seen. You got your chalk, Dave?
I'm all ready to go.
You got an eraser?
I got an eraser. You're my board eraser monitor, by the way.
Oh, okay.
You'll be outside knocking this thing on the wall.
Do I have to clean these, huh?
You have to clean them.
All right, you've got some notes here. I'm looking forward to what you got to say.
That's for after the show.
We'll talk right after the break.
Sounds good.
Did you know only 1% of supplements have earned the USP mark, an independent certification for quality and purity? I recommend Nature Made because they've earned the most of any brand.
Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended letter vitamin brand.
Well, sir, after some serious consideration, I'd like to put in my 15-year notice.
You're quitting?
Technically retiring, sir. With a little help from my State Farm agent, I plan to retire in 15 years.
Wow, you're totally blindsiding me here. Who's going to manage your accounts? This is a devastating blow I was not prepared for.
Well, I'm going to finish packing my things. 15 years will really sneak up on you.
Jennifer will do your exit interview, and Adam made you a cake.
Red velvet.
Oh, thank you.
I made this.
Take charge of your retirement. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
Who needs a witness when you set the world in motion? The Ram ProMaster van And introducing the all-new Ram ProMaster City. Purpose-built to help you run the town. Ram.
If you have moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis like me, and you're talking to a rheumatologist about a biologic, this is Humira. This is Humira helping to relieve my pain and protect my joints from further damage. This is Humira helping me reach for more. Doctors have been prescribing Humira for more than 10 years. Humira works for many adults. It targets and helps to block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to RA symptoms.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Talk to your doctor and visit Humira.com. This is Humira at Work.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, isn't it time to let the real you shine through? Introducing Otezla, a Premolast. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. Some people who took Otezla saw 75% clearer skin after 4 months. And Otezla's prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't take Otezla if you are allergic to any of its ingredients. Otezla may increase the risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Side effects may include diarrhea, nausea, upper respiratory tract infection, and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Ask your doctor about Otezla today. Otezla. Show more of you.
Okay, right now we want to get what you're saying about our show right now. So this segment of Sounding Off right now, we're actually talked to one of my friends, Angie Manko, who is a research for the Institute of Business and Home Safety. He says that Miami-Dade building codes set the standard for modern codes, and Charlie showed that it works. And you missed our discussion just the last block. We were talking with Dr. Jeff Masters and Brian Norcross about how Andrew's building code, or at least the changes made from Hurricane Andrew, improved the building code statewide. So yeah, please send us your tweets. Hashtag WooTV on Twitter and Facebook, guys. So we'll take your comments all show long. But right now we got Mike with the wonderful Dave Schwartz.
All right, Dave's wonders of weather. Dave's wow. The tidbits of the day that you may have overlooked, but Dave didn't.
Right. I'm always looking for interesting things. And Hawaii just blew me away. Did you hear what happened in Hawaii today?
What?
Well, look.
Okay.
Okay. The old record rainfall for any day in August. 2.92 inches.
Okay.
Today, 3.5.
So
brand
we
new record.
it.
Smoked it. Old record for the month of August, 4.47, set in 1887. This is unofficial. This is my math here. 4.67, a brand new record.
So this is a record that spans well more than a century.
When do you ever get 3.5 inches of rain in Honolulu?
But what's interesting, Dave, is if we didn't even have a landfalling and some convection that popped up over Oahu.
That's right.
I mean, this is impressive for a non-landfalling system.
You know, usually we are controlled by the northeast trade winds. So the whole northeast, the upslope side of the islands, obviously, are the wet sides. Hilo, 126 inches on average in a year. Right?
It's the wettest city in America.
Wettest city in America. Honolulu is on the downslope side. They average 17 inches in a whole year. Amazing. Here in Honolulu. So this doesn't ever happen unless there's something to disrupt this trade wind pattern. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Tropical Depression Kilo down here. Not only did it miss Hawaii directly, but you see this red line at the bottom? Yeah. That's the super warm and humid tropical air mass. This, as it moved by, brought this tropical air mass to all of Hawaii. Plus, we have an upper level trough. We have a piece of Kilo, which may have broken off. Dr. Postel's been watching that. And that's how we end up in a downslope side of Honolulu with 17 inches for a whole year. Today we got 3.5.
So we picked up about roughly a quarter of what we get for an entire year.
That's exactly right. You know where the driest place is in Hawaii?
Where?
Lift that sheet of paper.
All right. Top of Mauna Kea.
The top of Mauna Kea, 14,000 feet up. They are above the tropical temperature inversion, so they very seldom get any rain. Their average...
They get snow.
They get snow, 8 inches of precip a year, the driest place.
By the way, Dave does his homework, by the way. I want you to look at this. Look at his notes. I mean, seriously, mad genius right there. Dave, take your notes, take your chalkboard, go home, get some dinner.
All right,
awesome
take care.
stuff from Dave Schwartz.
Oh, gosh,
all right, let's finish up. Let's finish up our 6-pack, by the way, and we want to recap our 6 through 2, and then reveal number 1. So let's take you back to our videos here. We had the Bears, number 6, cooling off from the heat in New Jersey. We had the storms in Clearwater, Kansas, dumped a lot of hail, and then we had a trifecta here of Coney.
Right, yeah, Typhoon Coney. Crazy winds, crazy winds from Coney, and amazing waves there. God, look how high that spray goes up.
All right, but none of these made a cut as number 1. This one did, though. How about number 1, this kayaker in a storm in Florida? He is desperately trying to get off the water. You just see the lightning flashing behind him. And you see when the lightning strikes, he starts paddling faster.
Right, I would too. I mean, it's like disaster in slow motion. You're just like, pedal faster, pedal faster. It's like, where's the shore? Because we can't see it. All we see is the lightning behind him, so.
You can even hear a little bit of, there's hail pounding around him, by the way. Hail, lightning, pouring rain. He paddles faster and faster. Eventually, he did make it to shore. He made it to cover, but not a minute too soon.
No. He even got the boat out of the water, secured properly, and then goes in and it's just like, whew, well, that just happened.
One of the most dangerous places you can be is out on the water.
I mean, he's a human lightning rod like there, like he's it.
Holy
I don't do lightning, in case you know me.
And he didn't either, right? Hey, we're not done yet. More ahead on Weather Underground after the break. We're going to open up the mic. Plus, picture this. Lightning all around a packed football stadium over the weekend. What happened here? Why are all these people there? We're going to take you to Minneapolis when we come back on Weather Underground.
Don't let me down with lightning.
Listen up, team. I brought in some protein to help rearrange the fridge and get us energized.
I'm new Ensure Active High Protein. I help you recharge with nutritious energy and strength to keep you active.
Come on, Pear. It's only a half gallon.
I'll take that.
New Ensure Active High Protein. 16 grams of protein and 23 vitamins and minerals. All in 160 calories. Ensure. Take life in.
Scientists Walk Into a Bar is a show where we explain the weather.
Welcome to Awesome. This is all really badass.
There's no need to show off.
This is about how far you can push yourself.
I have made
fire! Currently in our area, 80 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 62. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain 60%. Tuesday, a mainly sunny sky, high 81. Tuesday night, a mostly clear sky, low 55. Here's our 7-day outlook.
To truly feel healthy on the outside, you have to feel healthy at your core. True Biotics, a probiotic from One A Day, naturally helps support both your digestive and immune health by combining 2 types of good bacteria. True Biotics. Be true to your health.
Just in case you were wondering what Cheerios are made of, whole grain oats.
Doers. They don't worry if something's possible. They just do it. At Sears Optical, we're committed to bringing them eyewear that works as hard as they do. Right now, buy one pair and get another free. Quality eyewear for doers. Sears Optical.
Flour-pressed soap, homemade hot sauce, artisanal pickles, whatever those are. Well, we're glad handcrafted is finally cool. Because at Firestone Complete Auto Care, we've been handcrafting since 1926. Robots might build cars, but it takes human hands to keep them running right. And that's a guarantee backed by our fixed right promise. Firestone Complete Auto Care. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
You do all this research on the perfect car, gas mileage, horsepower, torque ratios. 3 spreadsheets later, you finally bring home the one, then smash it into a tree. Your insurance company's all too happy to raise your rates. Maybe you should have done a little more research on them.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
This is Life Alert. Are you okay? I'm calling for help right now.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-691-6449. That's 1-800-691-6449. Call now, 1-800-691-6449. For a free brochure, call 1-800-691-6449.
Katrina 2065, Thursday night at 8 on the Weather Channel. Brought to you by Citgo. Learn about Citgo Coastal Restoration at CitgoCaringForOurCoast.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Weather Underground. This is US Bank Stadium under construction in Minneapolis. It is going to be the home of the Vikings, set to open next summer. It will host the Super Bowl in 2018. It will be a dome. You know what it'll do? Protect everybody from the weather. You know what didn't happen this weekend, by the way? Little picture this. The Vikings call TCF Bank Stadium home. This is where the Minnesota Golden Gophers play. It's open air, of course, much to the dismay of thousands of fans this weekend that were there for the Vikings and Raiders game. This was their sight, not just football, lightning everywhere.
So I think we're going to illustrate the obvious here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know what's on this side of the screen, but I'm seeing that and I'm like, all right, bye-bye.
In all fairness here, they did evacuate the fans down into cover, but this is why I say the NFL or the Major League Baseball, all new stadiums should at least be retractable. You take weather out of the equation. If weather's nice, open it up. You've got to think about fan safety here. What happens if someone gets struck by lightning at this stadium?
I know, and you know, and that's a big job as meteorologists. You know, these people, they hire meteorologists to tell them, okay, storms are in the area. You know, like I was at a baseball game recently, and within 30 minutes of a lightning strike, they will not play. So, I mean, but the problem is if you're out there when this lightning strike happens, doesn't really matter if 30 minutes from now, you've got it now. So you really need to know when that's coming your way.
Public events, we have to take safety first and foremost, right? By the way, things getting a little bit gnarly for us in the nation's capital. Let's take a live look right now at the White House. It is thunderstorming right now, pouring rain for us, and we're going to have some real issues here. Severe thunderstorms around Baltimore as well as Washington, D.C. Sarah, I know you've been following this radar very, very closely. It does not look like a good evening in the capital. capital.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, Bettis, and I'm actually checking the Weather Service chat right now. We do have a report of some damage. 2 trees down in Towson, Maryland, that blocking roadways there in Towson, and we'll get right in there. Take a look at those showers and thunderstorms. D.C., you're getting that previously warned severe thunderstorm, but no severe warning for you, but certainly some heavy rain in and around the Alexandria area. But take a look just northeast of the Baltimore metro area. You're getting hammered heavy rain, potentially 1 to 2 inches per hour. You have a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Let's take a look at some of those storm reports that we had there, because I do want to show you at least where that wind report was. It was just here on the western side of that warning, and if we query that, I believe that is the Towson report. Yes, it is indeed. Okay, so there we were. So we've definitely got some strong gusty winds out there, potentially 50 to 60 miles per hour. That's what those severe thunderstorm warnings are for those 60-mile-per-hour winds. Let's take a look at the lightning as well. I wanted to show you the lightning tracker because this thing is probably going pretty strong right now. And bear with me just 1 second. Okay, so it's probably a good number of strikes there. 122 in just the last 15 minutes just with this complex alone, and that's sitting right over the I-95 corridor. It's going to be a slow drive out there right now. I know that traffic is definitely going to be slowed down with this. Let's take a look at some of the precipitation amounts that we've seen too, and you see the picture of the White House there on your screen. Holy cow, look at the rainfall totals so far. Just 1.7 inches in only an hour's time. So these things are dumping a lot of heavy rain. They're very slow moving, but they've got those strong gusty winds underneath there as well. So, you know, again, driving around I-95, 695, just north of the Baltimore metro, you're going to be dealing with these showers for probably another 30 minutes or so. This is moving off to the east. They're probably about 35 miles per hour. So please be careful if you're out there on the roadways, if you have to head out. There's not a lot out there, but when you get underneath one of these, it can dump a lot of rainfall in a very short period of time.
All right, Sarah, thank you very much. Well, obviously a very special night for us here at the Weather Channel with the debut of Weather Underground. The founder of Weather Underground, Dr. Jeff Masters, joins us here, and pleasure to have you in studio with us this evening. 20 years in the making. You know, take us back to 1995 when the website, you first created the website. Did you ever think that it would get the cult following that it had gotten?
We didn't know what to expect. We just knew it was so cool to be doing stuff on the internet and doing it with weather. We were internet pioneers back then. Nobody else was doing this, and it was cutting edge stuff. It was very exciting.
It, over the years, has evolved. You know, now we have the mobile digital age. It's amazing to me, don't you think, how people can just take weather with them wherever they go and be in constant contact with information.
Yeah, what's great about it is that they can tell us the kind of weather they're experiencing. And we're going to see a lot more sorts of new data products in the future, crowdsourced weather.
One thing that's so innovative about Weather Underground are personal weather stations. You literally have over 100,000 people that report weather from their personal weather stations at their house to your website. It's such a wealth of information.
There are so many weather enthusiasts out there who are so excited about the weather that they can put one of these stations. And modern technology has made it possible, so it's really exciting.
You get weather from 174 different countries. That's outstanding.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, the weather is global. We're all touched by it, and we're all in connection with it.
Television. It hasn't really been in Weather Underground's DNA, but today, what do you think? I mean, you touch people everywhere now with Weather Underground.
Yeah, TV's a new thing for me. I mean, it's a fun experience being here today. I'm really excited that we're cross-pollinating the two websites this way.
It's been incredibly insightful to hang out with you the last couple of months, and I think we're going to do the brand proud. So appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been great fun.
Final word before we leave you this evening, a little open mic for you. Well, Weather Underground. It's an alternative to the mainstream. We know that. Yeah, we're not afraid to challenge conventional broadcast meteorology. Our thoughts and our processes are deeply based in science and the outcomes that impact us all. Our goal is to help you learn something every day about our planet. We may not always be polished TV anchors, and you may not always agree with us, but we'll never apologize for being fanatical about weather. And it's not just us. We know there are plenty of weather fanatics like you out there. We want this to be your new home, too. You are the beating heart of this venture. We all have individual observations. We may all have individual outlooks, but we share one common bond, the weather. And we'll do this show together, because together we know more. Well, for all of us here at Weather Underground, including everyone at the watch party at the headquarters in San Francisco, hi guys! Thanks for watching. We hope you had a great time. We sure did. Have a great night, and we will see you again tomorrow. Weather Underground.
Woohoo, got some Wonder Friends out there, right?
Freebies, by the way. You brought gifts.
Oh.
This one's for Joplin. Joplin, I'm bringing this one home for you tonight.
Get the pizza.
Okay.
Raw, relentless power. Ferocious, roaring winds.
My goodness, the wind has just been insane.
Sledgehammer waves of water. These are the most devastating hurricanes of all time.
A monster storm right now.
Including a cat-full buzzsaw that terrorized a storm chaser.
When I was in there, I'm going like, well, this is how I'm going to die.
Others loaded with catastrophic storm surge.
Water is about 160 times more powerful than wind.
And those that altered landscapes forever.
It was a storm that flooded the city, and we weren't prepared for it.
The winds are howling 50, 60 miles per hour.
We're counting down the top 10 worst hurricanes. Since 2004, hurricanes have accounted for over $300 billion in damage in the U.S. Hello, I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori, and I was in all of those and saw the destruction firsthand. Now you're going to get a front row seat to the worst hurricanes imaginable. On average, there's about 6 Atlantic hurricanes that form each year. In both 2004 and 2005, there were 6 that hit the U.S. alone, killing over 2,000 people. We know that tropical terror is far-reaching and can be felt along the entire coastline, from Maine to Texas, packing a 1-2 punch of wind and water.
Hurricanes are Mother Nature's greatest storm. At their peak, they're as strong as almost every tornado, but over a tremendously larger area. So there's so much energy generated in a hurricane that it doesn't compare to anything else that Mother Nature produces.
Along with the strongest tornadoes, the strongest hurricanes rank up there among the most powerful, destructive, deadliest forces of weather.
At any instant, there's enough energy in a hurricane to power the world 200 times over.
Every time one of them happens and somebody lives through it, they think nothing can be worse, and they stay and die.
Our countdown criteria was determined by the Weather Channel's acclaimed hurricane experts and takes into consideration the combination of deadliest, costliest, and most intense storms. We're kicking off our countdown with the strongest hurricane to hit the U.S. since Andrew in 1992. It may have been small in size, but it delivered a knockout blow. At number 10, Charlie. And you see, as bad as it is here, look at this. It's about 4 times as bad up to the north. Friday, August 13th, 2004. Hurricane Charlie, a Cat 4 mighty might, blasts the southwest Florida coastline with winds up to 150 miles per hour.
The very unusual attribute of Charlie was the size of the eye. Little tiny eye really made the system more like a tornado than a hurricane, very much like a figure skater bringing the arms in and spinning faster. That's what made the winds so fast, but not over a very large area.
The maximum winds extended out only 7 miles from the center. But if you were in that path, you were in big trouble. Melissa Baldwin was a manager at a hotel right on Charlotte Harbor in Punta Gorda and witnessed Charlie's fury firsthand.
There was a lot of screaming because of what it actually, that's one sound that I'll never forget. The actual wind, it was like a train coming through that building. The whole front of the hotel, the awnings fell onto the guest cars and also employees' cars. Power lines were down. There was a lot of windows that were broken.
The experience left Baldwin unable to speak for 2 weeks after the hurricane.
We built our top 10 list on the strength of the storm and the cost of the storm. In modern times, we haven't had many Category 4 storms coming ashore. Because we have that confluence of cost and strength, just edged into the top 10, just past many great hurricanes of the past.
After landfall, Charlie continued to wreak havoc as it traversed the central Florida peninsula, going over Orlando and maintaining hurricane intensity as the center moved off the northeast coast near Daytona Beach. Damage in the U.S. was estimated around $15 billion.
Punta Gorda was ground zero for Charlie. That's where experienced storm chaser Jim Edds found himself as it was barreling in, with nowhere to hide.
I settled on the downwind side of an eye doctor's office, and it was all mayhem. It was like somebody taking the town and sending it through a big grinder and then blowing it right by me. The first real scary moment, there's a big old piece of sheet metal comes flying overhead and crashes in the building across the street. I'm going like, wow, you don't want to get out in that, because if you went out into that, you were going to get hit by something and you were going to die. It was crazy. I saw a roof blowing down the street. I saw the sign across the street get blown out. I look at that video and I go like, I hope I never get in that position again. It's too scary. I thought I was an experienced hurricane chaser. I'd been in 1s, 2s, and 3s, and you get kind of cocky. You go, yeah, I got this wired. But until you've seen something like a strong 4, you don't know what you're getting into. In Charlie, I felt like I was not going to make it out of there, that that's how I was going to die, and that was a bad feeling.
Amazing footage, and amazingly, only 10 people were killed in the U.S. by Charlie. But that's not the case for our next entry, which was the deadliest to ever hit the Northeast. At number 9, the Great New England Hurricane of 1938.
People really believed hurricanes did not come to New England. And children remember asking their parents if they'd hear of a typhoon or hurricane, and someone would say, don't worry about it, dear. They don't come to New England.
But on September 21st, 1938, a Category 3 roared across Long Island and into New England with catastrophic results.
First of all, people didn't know it was coming. They didn't even put the warning up until after the center had already come ashore by about an hour and a half. Second of all, because it was moving so fast, it maintained much more strength than storms normally do when they get that far in the Northeast.
The 1938 hurricane is one of the benchmark weather events in the history of the Northeast United States because of the speed and ferocity with which it came in and the amount of loss of life and destruction that it caused.
It was responsible for nearly 600 deaths and 1,700 injuries. Almost 9,000 buildings were destroyed, along with over 2,600 boats.
The same country clubs where just weeks before at Labor Day there had been wonderful end-of-summer dances became the places where they took the bodies, and they became the morgues.
Providence, Rhode Island experienced sustained winds of 100 miles per hour with gusts to 125. Across southern New England, there was extensive damage to roofs, trees, and crops. Widespread power outages lasted several weeks in some areas. Downed power lines resulted in disastrous fires in New London and Mystic, Connecticut.
This hurricane not only had strong winds that caused widespread swaths of damage, but it also had storm surge of tremendous magnitude and gigantic waves on top of that.
The center made landfall at the time of astronomical high tide. So you had those waves on top of the storm surge up to 15 feet. Downtown Providence was submerged under a storm tide of almost 20 feet during rush hour.
It was a terrible situation. You had people drowning in the streets. People didn't know where their loved ones were. People at home didn't know if anyone was going to come home. Some can't swim and don't make it. They're never seen again.
The 1938 hurricane is one of the worst case hurricane scenarios that we have on the coastline because it affects such a populated area in such a big way. And all these places are so much more populated and there's so much more wealth today than there was in 1938 that we're talking about one of the top storms in terms of the cost if it were to happen again.
Coming up on our countdown of the top 10 worst hurricanes.
Goodness gracious!
Another storm that ravaged the Northeast with a wallop of water.
A wave came through and just broke down the back door, and the house started filling up with water.
And later, the 3 catastrophic Cat 5s that made landfall in the U.S. during the 20th century.
Every auto insurance policy has a number. But not every insurance company understands the life behind it. Those who have served our nation have earned the very best service in return. USA, We know what it means to serve. Get an auto insurance quote and see why 92% of our members plan to stay for life.
Hey, you working for Nature Made too?
Yup. Go team!
You've heard about friendly probiotics, but why take one that only targets half your digestive tract? New Nature Made Advanced has dual strains that target your whole tract. Part of the new line of probiotics from Nature Made.
Heart health's important. So you may take an omega-3 supplement, but it's the ingredients inside that really matter for heart health. New Bear Pro Ultra Omega-3 has 2 times the concentration of EPA and DHA as a leading omega-3 supplement. New Bear Pro Ultra Omega-3.
I hate cleaning the gutters. Have you touched the stuff? It's evil. And ladders. Ah! They have all those warnings on them. Might as well say, you're gonna die, Jeff. You hired someone to clean the gutters.
Not just someone. Angie's List may find a highly rated service provider to do the work at a fair price.
Everyone can shop, but members get more with reviews, live customer support, and better pricing. Come see what the new Angie's List can do for you.
Andrew, Rita, Sandy. Meet Chris, Jackie, Joe. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
Katrina 2065, Thursday night 8 on the Weather Channel. Brought to you by Citgo. Learn about Citgo Coastal Restoration at CitgoCaringForOurCoast.com.
Welcome back to our countdown of the top 10 worst hurricanes. At number 10, Charley, which was the strongest landfall in America this century. Number 9, the Great New England Hurricane of 1938, which is also referred to as the Long Island Express. Our next hurricane whacked the Northeast as well and was the second costliest in U.S. history. It affected 24 states, including the entire eastern seaboard, and was so monstrous it became known as a superstorm. At number 8, Sandy.
A lot of us here at the Weather Channel have just been stunned.
No storms like this in the record book.
This is going to be something that's going to shut down the Northeast.
We are talking about a monster storm.
It's coming in big, and it's coming in strong.
This is really just staggering.
It looked like it's out of a movie.
What we think we're going to see is the worst storm ever in some location.
Sandy wasn't a very intense hurricane, but it was an extremely large hurricane. In fact, it was the largest hurricane that we've ever measured. It was about a third the size of the United States.
Because it was so big, it was moving a tremendous amount of water toward the coast. That had 2 effects. One was the water had a tremendous amount of power, so it got pushed up 15 feet high or so against the New Jersey coastline, into New York Harbor, up the Hudson, up the various rivers. The other was, it was over 500 miles across that it was pushing water. So that was so much coastline affected that when you added up all the effects, you ended up with the second most expensive storm in U.S. history.
Damage estimates from Sandy amounted to at least $50 billion in the U.S. 650,000 houses were damaged or destroyed, and about 8.5 million lost power. The New York City subway system suffered extensively due to storm surge flooding, and the New York Stock Exchange was subjected to a historic 2-day shutdown.
2 things made Sandy so unique. One, the way it was the ultimate hybrid storm, a hurricane within a gigantic nor'easter, and 2, the track that it took, hooking directly back toward the New Jersey coast, which is unprecedented in the known historical record.
Superstorm Sandy made landfall on October 29, 2012 as a post-tropical cyclone with hurricane-force winds. It caused 147 direct deaths, 72 in the U.S., with 41 of those due to the storm surge.
Even though catastrophic hurricanes are relatively infrequent in the Northeast, Sandy demonstrated that, in fact, they can happen. They have in the past, happened with Sandy, could happen again in the future.
During Sandy, the highest water level found in New York was over 8 feet on Staten Island. That's where a couple found themselves face to face with the incredible power of storm surge as they tried to get out of their home.
a wave came through and just broke down the back door, and the house started filling up with water, and we couldn't open the door. So we were trapped in the house, and there was just 2 small windows in the front, and Bill kind of pushed me through one.
Once she had gotten through, I handed her 2 cats. I says, you know, just go, just swim.
And he said, swim as fast as you can. Tell my boys I love them. He was trapped in the house.
And at one point I had said to myself, you know, I'm gonna die here. I gotta figure out a way out. So when I had handed it the cats and she had gone, I just said that was the only way I can figure I can get out was that opening, and I had just started elbowing the frame, and the frame of the window had popped out. It gave me enough to get through the window.
Bill left the remaining 7 cats as high as he could in the house and headed up the street.
When you got into the street, the water was even higher, and I was about like maybe chin high, and I was trying to keep my head afloat. There was a point when the current was coming so hard that I didn't even see houses. I thought I was being pulled. It felt like I was being pulled back into the ocean.
I couldn't hold myself up, and my cats started clawing on me, and I had to let one of them go. And then started swimming as fast as I can.
Bill was able to swim through debris-littered water to higher ground, all the while not knowing where Kim was.
I saw a house with candle lights, I guess it was, and I just started screaming for help. And I swam through a garage door with one of my cats in my arms, and there was family upstairs, and they had helped me up. My face was cut open, I was bleeding. I didn't know where Bill was. My cat died in my arms, and the police officer drove me to my mother's house a couple of towns away, where I just laid in bed and cried in my mother's arms. A couple of hours later, Bill came through the door, and it was just like I thought I was dreaming. I was just so happy that he made it.
But the beachfront bungalow that Kim had rented for the past 15 years would no longer be considered home.
Maybe about 3 feet of the corner from the front of the house was standing. The rest of the house was just demolished. It was gone.
And none of Kim's cats survived the surge from Sandy.
It cost them their lives by me not leaving that day, and I could never get them back, and it's a regret I'll always have. I miss them terribly, and my little babies.
An incredible example of just how damaging water can be, and an amazing story of survival. Just ahead on the top 10 worst hurricanes, the most intense hurricane on record to hit the U.S.
People that survived clung on to tops of palm trees.
And later, the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history.
That's one of our photographer's vans out there. You can see that. It's now seeing water halfway up to the windows.
Stay tuned for your local on the 8s, brought to you by Citco. Learn about Citco Coastal Restoration at CitcoCaringForOurCoast.com.
Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 62. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain 60%. Tuesday, a mainly sunny sky, high 81. Tuesday night, a mostly clear sky, low 55. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Pre-form and pre-cook, Boston Market promises to make food good. Like our Parmesan Tuscan rotisserie chicken, made with Italian spices. Back for a limited time. Boston Market, all good.
I'm Jerry Bell II.
103.
I'm like a big bear, and he's my little cub. This little guy is non-stop. He's always want to hang out with his friend. Got to be prepared to sit at the edge of the seat and be ready to get up. There's no deep couch sitting. It's definitely not good for my back. This is the part I really don't like right here. It's a Swiffer wet jet. It almost feels like it's moving itself. This is kind of fun. That comes from my floor? This is deep couch sitting.
Deep Couch City.
And when you bundle your home and auto insurance through Progressive, you'll save a bundle.
Jamie,
Right.
make a bad bundle joke. A buck goes in the jar.
I guess that's just how the cookie bundles. Now you're gonna have 2 bundles of joy.
I'm not pregnant.
I'm gonna go.
There you go.
Bundle bee coming. It was worth it.
Save you a bundle when you bundle. Now that's Progressive.
Hi, I'm Ty Pennington. We have smartphones, smartwatches, even smart homes. So why do we still have dumb mortgages? Well, it's time to upgrade. Guaranteed Rate has just introduced the world's first digital mortgage. With Guaranteed Rate's digital mortgage, you can choose your own loan type and rate, order your appraisal, get your free credit scores, digitally sign and securely upload your loan documents, get a real loan approval, and save money. And you can do it all online, anytime, anywhere, even in your underwear. Let's recap. Guaranteed Rate gives you a low mortgage rate, amazing customer service, and a fast new digital mortgage. What are you waiting for? Start saving time and money today with the world's first digital mortgage, only from Guaranteed Rate. Call 888-702-0400 or visit grloans.com.
We're counting down the top 10 worst hurricanes. So far, we've brought you Charlie, the last Cat 4 or higher to hit the U.S. At number 9, the second costliest storm to strike New England, followed by Sandy, which was the second costliest hurricane in U.S. history.
We all know that hurricanes are powerful, but which one was the most intense to ever make landfall in the U.S.? That belongs to the 1935 Labor Day hurricane, which is number 7 on our countdown of the worst. It was the first of only 3 hurricanes that have made landfall in the U.S. as a Category 5. The storm blasted the middle part of the Florida Keys with estimated 185-mile-per-hour sustained winds. It holds the record of having the lowest minimum central pressure measured on land, which is consistent with it being the strongest hurricane to hit the U.S.
Until something happens that is more extreme, more unbelievable, the 1935 Labor Day hurricane goes in the record book as the #1 storm ever to hit the U.S. in terms of power.
But it wasn't just the wind. Storm surge of approximately 18 to 20 feet swept over the island, demolishing most of the buildings in the area near Tay's Isla Mirada. Over 400 people died, most of them World War I Army veterans who were building an overseas bridge. A train was sent there from Miami to rescue them, and the engineer was determined to get there. But the storm got there first.
Even as the water was coming over the tracks, he kept the train coming. He was delayed by a wire on the tracks, but cleared it with the storm already raging. But when he got to Isla Mirada, that was it. The storm surge came in and swept the train and everything but the locomotive into the water. The veterans were on the next key, and they were swallowed by the surge.
The railroad was destroyed and never rebuilt. Within a few years, the overseas highway that the Army vets working on was completed and links Key West to the mainland today. Just off US 1 in Isla Mirada, a memorial was built to honor the hundreds of veterans and local citizens who died in the hurricane.
A lot of the people who were lost in the Keys during the 35 hurricane were washed away. They actually found some of the bodies in Florida Bay and in the Everglades across at the southern end of the Florida Peninsula. There are some reports, I don't know how true they are, that some people may have been sandblasted to death. The winds were so strong that the sand may have literally abraded the skin off of people.
It's often called Florida's forgotten storm, even though it's the second deadliest cyclone in the history of the United States. At number 6, the 1928 Okeechobee hurricane. It
packed winds up to 145 miles per hour as it slammed into West Palm Beach, decimating the city, which had been founded only 34 years earlier. More than 1,700 homes were destroyed, and in today's dollars, exacted $16 billion in damage.
And then it hit Lake Okeechobee. And Lake Okeechobee was this massive body of water. It's really like an inland sea. So storm surge was created just like it's created in the ocean or in the Gulf, and that overwhelmed the little levee at the south end of the lake.
When the storm passed, you had very, very strong winds pushing water from north to south along the lake, and that flooded the southern part of the lake, Belle Glade area, where they had a poorly constructed dike at the time. And that flooding, 10 feet of water, that's what resulted in the loss of life.
It's really impossible to say how many people actually died, but we know it's probably upwards of 3,000 or more. And about 3/4 of those were migrant farm workers, many of whom were never found, and many others buried in mass graves.
That storm surge just pushed in over top of these people where they were living, pushed their houses into one another, and swept them away into the mud and the farm fields.
It's often called the forgot storm because so few people are aware of the exorbitant number of deaths and massive destruction. And officials didn't accurately document the devastation for future generations. Also, the majority of those that died were black migrant workers, and in the racial climate of the times, didn't get the same recognition or attention as if they had been white. We are halfway home in our countdown, but the worst is still to come, including the 2 hurricanes with the highest recorded storm surges ever to hit the U.S.
Well, I don't think I've ever known terror like that. That is absolutely the most terrified that I have ever been, and I think anybody that was in it would say that.
Working on my feet all day gave me pain here, my lower back. But now I step on this machine and get my number, which matches my Dr. Scholl's custom-fit orthotic inserts. Now I get immediate relief from my foot pain.
My lower back pain. Find a machine at drscholls.com.
This summer, we've helped a lot of people get into the Honda they'd been searching for.
Nice wheels. Right back at you.
Aw, you guys. There's not much time left. The Honda Summer Clearance event ends soon. There's never been a better time to get into the new Honda you've had your eye on. Everyone happy? Yay!
It's your last chance to find a great deal at the Honda Summer Clearance event.
This is Henry, expertise staining carpet. But this is new Life-Proof carpet with advanced stain technology built in. Let's do this. Get any carpet installed, including new Life-Proof for just $37 only at the Home Depot.
Discover card. Hey, so I'm looking at my bill and my FICO credit score is on here? Yeah, we give you your FICO credit score for free. Awesome, boss. The only person I know that says that is Lisa. Julie?
We've already given more than 175 million free FICO credit scores to our card members. Apply today at Discover.com.
Take a look at these barbecue trophies. Best cracked pepper sauce. Most ribs eaten while calf roping.
Yep. Greatness deserves recognition. You got any trophies, cowboy?
Yeah, well, there's this one.
Best insurance mobile app.
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
Well, Alvin, does that thing just follow you around?
Like a little puppy.
The award-winning Geico app. Download it today. Today's the day. More and more people with type 2 diabetes are learning about long-acting Levemir.
As my diabetes changed, it got harder to control my blood sugar. Today, I'm asking about Levemir.
Levemir is an injectable insulin that can give you blood sugar control for up to 24 hours. And Levemir helps lower your A1C. Levemir lasts 42 days without refrigeration. That's 50% longer than Lantus, which lasts 28 days. Levemir comes in Flex Touch, the latest in insulin pen technology from Novo Nordisk.
Levemir is a long-acting insulin used to control high blood sugar in adults and children with diabetes and is not recommended to treat diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not use Levemir if you are allergic to any of its ingredients. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which may cause symptoms such as sweating, shakiness, confusion, and headache. Severe low blood sugar can be serious and life-threatening. Ask your doctor about alcohol use, operating machinery, or driving. Other possible side effects include injection site reactions. Tell your doctor about all medicines you take and all of your medical conditions. Check your blood sugar. Your insulin dose should not be changed without asking your doctor. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing, sweating, extreme drowsiness, swelling of your face, tongue, or throat, dizziness, or confusion.
Today's the day to ask about Levemir FlexTouch. Covered by most health insurance and Medicare plans.
We're to the halfway point of our countdown of the top 10 worst hurricanes. We started with Cat 4 Charlie in 2004. 9 is the Great New England Hurricane of 1938. That's followed by Superstorm Sandy, which also hammered the Northeast. 7 is the 1935 Labor Day hurricane, which is the strongest on record to strike the U.S. That's followed by the second deadliest, the 1928 Okeechobee hurricane. Our next selection is the second of 3 catastrophic Cat 5s to make landfall in the U.S. At number 5, Hurricane Camille. Winds up to 175 miles per hour. Tides nearly 25 feet above normal. A crushing combination for anyone living along the Mississippi coast when Camille made landfall on August 17, 1969.
It's 10 o'clock in Biloxi now, and the eye of the storm is still over 2 hours away. The wind is so strong one can hardly stand up in it. The rain is torrential, streets are flooded, there is no power, everything is black.
Camille is one of the great storms to ever hit the Gulf Coast. It's the only Category 5 storm to hit in the northern Gulf, and it's a very unusual event for that to happen.
It was a very, very strong, very intense hurricane. And one thing we know is that stronger storms can produce a higher storm surge, and Camille produced one of the highest storm surges we've ever seen.
I thought it was the worst thing in the world that I had ever encountered until I met Katrina.
Peak storm surge was up to 24 feet. Only Katrina had a higher surge in the U.S.
I think this was another case that people just couldn't believe if you're in some pretty sturdy building on the other side of the highway from the Gulf of Mexico, that the Gulf could actually come up 20 feet or more and plow all the way inland and take your building away.
A cubic yard of water weighs 1,728 pounds, and when that hits, it's like something that weighs that much hitting you. People think this water's soft. It's not soft, especially when it's coming in rolling like that. It'll batter anything down. You know, all you got to do is look at what was left of the coast when they got through battering them.
Camille killed over 250 people and caused $1.4 billion in damage, which would translate to about $9 billion today.
It was like 68 square miles of total destruction. 5,556 homes destroyed, a great many more terribly damaged. Went down over in Pass Christian. One of the great myths of the storm is that 24 people died in the hurricane party at Richelieu, and that's just not true.
Charles Sullivan is the author of Hurricanes of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, an archivist at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. He was a National Guardsman during Camille and got trapped with his crew in a barn. Their amphibious vehicle was no match for the overwhelming surge.
Well, we're up in the ceiling and we can't get out because the snout of the thing is above the door. Well, I don't think I've ever known terror like that. I mean, that is absolutely the most terrified that I have ever been, and I think anybody that was in it would say that.
Rescue Blue and White, come home. All rescue units, come home.
There's a whole part of the Camille catastrophe which is not as well known as the landfall on the coast of Mississippi, and that is that days later, its moisture-laden remnants moving across West Virginia and Virginia created these thunderstorms with torrential downpours, moving slowly, dumping huge amounts of rain, and producing a disastrous flash flood there.
Over 150 people died in Virginia from the mountain slides and flooding.
People in Virginia were surprised by Camille. Overnight, the circulation came out of Kentucky and moved to the east. They weren't expecting that. And then the moisture interacted with the mountains. It was like Mother Nature took a huge bucket of water and just dumped it on Nelson County there in the central part of Western Virginia.
And my house was under 12 feet of water. And I've seen about all my family has had destruction of their homes. And I hope I never see nothing like this again.
We continue our countdown with what was the costliest storm on record before Katrina, and it could have been much, much worse. At number 4, the most recent Cat 5 to hit our shores, Hurricane Andrew.
We're live at the Weather Channel Forecast Center. It's August 24th, 1992. History in the making as Hurricane Andrew is now making landfall in South Florida.
Andrew's eye wall was one of the most intense we've ever observed on radar. And it was just like this wind machine, circular saw slicing across South Florida.
But while we had a record surge, the surge damage did not penetrate very far from the coast. If you look at Homestead and Florida City and see all these houses that were reduced to matchsticks and all these shopping centers that were reduced to rubble, that is almost exclusively wind damage.
The compact cyclone, initially rated a Category 4, was later upgraded to a 5 with sustained wind at 165 miles per hour. It shredded the southern suburbs of Miami. About 80% of the city of Homestead was destroyed, including its Air Force Base.
It looked like a nuclear bomb had gone off. The devastation was that complete. Buildings flattened, airplanes tossed over, hangar doors pushed in.
The base wouldn't open again for 2 years. By then, about 40% of the town's population had moved away. Andrew killed 15 people in Florida and caused $26.5 billion in damage. It's estimated that 2,600 homes were destroyed, leaving 175,000 homeless. But it could have been much worse.
If Hurricane Andrew had hit downtown Miami, that would have meant that it hit South Beach, it hit the port, it hit the airport, it hit the Coral Gables business district. The city would likely not be the city it is today if that had happened.
Brian Norcross is our senior hurricane specialist here at the Weather Channel. At the time, he was chief meteorologist at WTVJ in Miami and spent 23 consecutive hours on the air helping the community get through it.
The eye is just coming ashore there in Cutler Ridge. We have no Miami radar, so we can forget the Miami radar. It fell off the building.
About 6 hours before the hurricane made landfall, it was clear to me that this was going to be essentially the worst case that we could face, and that we were going to have to think of what can people do as a final resort, just the maximum amount of protection that they can get inside their home. And so an idea came to me that should get a mattress off the bed.
Do not think that you are in any way safe if you have not hunkered down and got that mattress over you, friends. This is the time to do it.
The other thing that happened, though, is I thought, wow, we're asking people to take action, and we're sitting here at the anchor desk, and we're kind of worried about our roof as well. So we made plans about an hour before landfall to move off the set into a storage area right off the studio.
We can hear it clearly. I know you folks at home can't hear it, but clearly we can hear it outside. Let me see. I'm all wireless. I'll tell you what, maybe, Raphael, you could find a couple batteries.
We are, Brian. We're all set. We're all set. I'll tell you what, this is the safest spot, without a doubt.
I don't know how many people, hundreds, thousands of people told me after the fact that that's what triggered them to move, because they said, oh my God, if they're leaving where they are, I guess this really is serious. We better take action, and it turned out to be one of the best things I ever did.
Brian's voice of reason during Hurricane Andrew no doubt saved lives, and his expertise continues to save lives today. But there's still 3 more in our countdown, including the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history.
And this wall of debris was filled with pieces of houses, furniture, pianos, pots, pans, cats, dogs, and people.
And the costliest hurricane to strike our shores. Which hurricane will be the worst of all time?
At
At Intel, they make technology that gives you the power of a PC and fun of a tablet.
I could turn it into a tablet and do my spreadsheets.
I said fun of a tablet?
Exactly.
Upgrade to a 2-in-1 with Intel Inside.
Clorox knows to make a big meal, you have to make a big mess. New Clorox Scrub Singles are preloaded with cleaners to scrub away stuck-on messes, even get in the tough corners.
It cleaned all this.
Good job, Mom.
Great job, Mom. Real scrubbing for your real life.
Every relationship has its quirks. At Petco, we help nurture that uniqueness with premium foods like natural